in the chat saying thank you, Satya.
No problem,
One of many
Kristen.
different people, as well as other zinc saying hashtag bus stop levels.
Yes.
It's already working. All right, guys.
Awesome.
We'll see you guys. Same bat time, same bat channel on Monday. But for now, it's Obi and Neil. Take it over, boys.
Yo, yo, yo. Good afternoon.
Yo, Ramin did me dirty, man.
What'd she do?
Yeah, she did. No, you saw it. Look, come on, man. Y'all saw it. Every one of you saw. I was just curious. I was, like, man, I can't believe Obi took one for the team, was an absolute man of his words, a champion this morning, eat up the Vegemite. I'm like, man, I can't believe how nasty it was when I tried it. And this guy did it like it was absolutely nothing. It's like, maybe it didn't smell as bad as what I'm remembering. No, it does. But then, no, it does. Like, it is exactly as bad as I remember this thing. And that's what's so crazy about it. So shout out to Russell Jackson. We appreciate you, all those super chats and getting to the goal in the morning show so that Obi could get his vitamin B something.
Vitamin V?
Vitamin B1, essential for brain function. B2 supports your nervous system. B3, essential for energy release. And folate, which helps fight fatigue. So, therefore, this means that, Obi, you must have been the most energized trader throughout the lunchtime.
Oh, I took some scalps. I was a little energized, but yeah, no, all those things. I think I'm gonna call it vitamin V for Vegemite right there. That was definitely dope. But yeah, no, it wasn't that bad. I guess it wasn't that bad. Like I said,
Yeah, it was.
If you wanted to see something nastier or taste something nastier, you should have tasted the price action of that 200 failed break. On Amazon, they're definitely that selling is still sitting there, yeah, no, let's see what we have in store going into the end of the day here. What I'm watching right now, though, Neil, is Peloton. Maybe have you guys seen Peloton? Like, I have it up here on a chart. Peloton's selling off all day. This is a pretty strong bid that's finally coming in with some expanding volume. I don't know. I'm smelling a reversion, Neil.
You smell a reversion.
This Vegemite's got me thinking. It's got the brain going. It's got the senses, I don't know, sensing. All right.
Well, fair enough. I mean, I'm not gonna hate if you smell it. If you smell a reversion, you smell a reversion. That's what I'm mad because I didn't take a reversion in a position. However, I'm only in two things. Position board just updated, and oddly enough, they're both chip names. So you might have heard, and I know we'll get to the names that you guys want us to talk about that got voted on. I don't know what they are yet, but I'm going to make the assumption Tesla's apparently number one. I was about to make the assumption of what was number one, but apparently it's not Amazon. So I would have been wrong, and I was just saved by that because Shreve just walked past. No, I just went into Nvidia when it flat bottom broke. I'm pretty sure that got mentioned. At least probably got mentioned, this 135.5 right before we came on, and then AMD off of a resistance level up at the 143 level. So the only two things that I am in were I'm out of the long from Intel, and I'm not happy with myself for not finding my way back into it. This is one of those times where the revision that you don't take, that one, oh yeah, you can just see it. I don't have to draw the line for this one. You can see it. Whether it's this trend or whether it's the trend from the bottom, same point it breaks. I don't actually take a short position. As a matter of fact, I hold on to 5% of the long, which I already had stopped out under 75. And then look at this base, right at 2260. So the reason why I'm looking short Nvidia, whether it works or not, same base, Intel high or low off that base. I'm looking longs on Intel this afternoon, whereas Nvidia, same base, lower highs into it. That's the only difference. I'm going to have a relatively tight stop here because I think I want to play VWAP as well. But yeah, the market did make that break of VWAP and we're consolidating underneath. So got to be a strong stock if I want to be playing the longs. That's the difference between Intel right now and some of the other chip names. And not often you get to say that, Obi, where Intel relatively strong compared to the other chip names. Let that sink in. I'm throwing it to Obi. I got to keep talking. Well, Ramin just yelled at. First of all, I'm wearing my earpiece. So
we weren't even given 2 seconds, Neil.
I'm wearing my earpiece, which means that I'm just saying, like, Ramin, you could have just said it in my ear, and then she yells it out like I'm being scolded, apparently.
Sorry, right, man. Are we actually?
sorry,
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
To the afternoon rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every day. You saw already that Neil and Obi, they're ready to go and they're ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. So make sure to join us during the midday show and get into the chat and vote for your favorite tickers every day, but only the top 5 make it on, guys. So make sure you're persuading your friends to vote your way. Let's have a look at the triple Qs here. Ram up 0.87, but well off the highs that we put in this morning and in the more liquid time of day. Looks like we got almost up into that high 490s, but been making lower lows and lower highs now as we give back a lot of those gains that we put in earlier today for some of the Amazon and Intel as well coming off the highs. Let's start with the first ticker as decided by you, TSLA. No surprise here. It seems to always make its way onto the top 5. Down though, 1%. No specific catalyst today. Of course, for Tesla not reporting, they already actually reported, excuse me. Elon Musk though, interesting here, post on X saying Tesla full self-drive is almost now entirely AI. We know that they had been using machine learning and things like that. Now, focusing entirely on AI, guys, but not really moving the needle here.
Well, I mean, clearly not moving the needle. You're headed down. Tesla, again, it looked like we were finding a base at $250. And this wasn't really part of the trade plan today, but, you know, at least 250 had been holding for Tesla into a heavy downtrend, albeit. And then you got the bounce again, previous close. Looked like everything was going to be all hunky-dory. There's your low. Hold support, higher low, above VWAP into higher highs. You're trending up. And then I don't know what Obi did to Tesla, but clearly this is somehow the reversion king's fault. That's you, Obi.
I do not deserve that name at all.
Well, too late. So the reversion king over here decided he was going to ping this thing through VWAP. Look at that. Like, there's your trend break. You also get VWAP. And then all of a sudden, Tesla's continuing lower. So on the daily chart, you just lost the most local support since that earnings run. And it feels like we're headed right in for that 50-period moving average at 235. That's where I'd be looking for the next level. I can now get rid of that trend line because it's not valid unless you sniped it off that level. Who cares about it anymore? So 250 turns into now resistance. And you have a sizable gap to be filled. Now, 235 just works out to the daily chart in the 50 period, but you're into the air zone now on Tesla. But frustratingly enough, Tesla breaks down and Rivian doesn't give us the break of 10. So, you know, we're still waiting on the flat bottom break on Rivian. I felt like any weakness in Tesla was just going to drag this thing down, and we'd be breaking this thing down. I guess it'll be next week when we finally get the opportunity on Tesla. I just took a bit on Nvidia here in front of 135. So the flat bottom break, broke 50, took 41s, just got some out there at 10s. We'll ring the register there. Looking for the low of the day on Nvidia.
Yeah, no, Tesla, I'm kind of just going back here on Tesla Robotaxi event, kind of a gap down sell-off. Look at that flat consolidation. And then we pop up on earnings, and then we're kind of catching a bit of a sell since about last Monday here. You can see that it's been gradually kind of coming back down. But yeah, no, we've known that they've been using a lot of AI in their FSD development, and I guess now it's finally coming into I guess. Using, he said it's all AI now. So there's definitely progress in that section there. But again, I feel like a lot of these things may potentially already be, I guess, priced in. But the price action right here is showing that we've been selling off for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days and continuing into the end of the week here, today. And you can see last Friday we had a pretty strong close. So just going on the weekly right here, you can see just Tesla's pretty much well within range here. So again, nothing too crazy here. Larger time frame, we're just trading in between this range. We have been making higher lows off of a larger time frame break here. And we talk about this one. I know there's a lot of lines here, but this one definitely a lot more dominant as it was the all-time high from all the way from 2021, and that trend held quite well over the past couple of years as a trend resistance. But over the past few months, we can see that we've started to break trend, go sideways, hold that level as support, and kind of continue for the push up. So let's see. Tesla's going to be definitely interesting going forward this year.
All right, guys, Apple is next here, down 1 2/3. Nothing's changed since we really started the show. Apple's been down the majority of the day. They reported earnings yesterday after the bell. You know, beating on the top and bottom line. The issue really did come down to services and a light guide. The street was not too impressed with the guide. They grew iPhone revenues. They were able to grow Mac and iPad revenues, but wearables, the Apple Watch, the AirPods, actually declined year over year in terms of growth. Right now, though, guys, still holding above that 222 level.
So before we go back to Apple, I have to show, because you might have seen I flashed into iBit and I threw it in the chat. So I had left an order on iBit, and it was on this, and it'll happen every now and then, and thankfully you're sitting at the desk when it does. So iBit did this trend reversal, and after it was breaking the trend reversal, I wanted to get a long that I never picked up. Like, I never actually got filled in front of 39.5, but I had the order in the whole day. And then as we're literally just talking, I got filled in the bid, I hit offer enter, I got a cent, and thankfully so. But Apple's the red stock of the day. iBit was a good stock for me today, but Apple, nope, 0 for 3. And it's like in the worst fashion possible. Why? Because my entry points just stunk, and I was essentially looking for the right thing in the right area, but just not making the right execution. It's going to happen. That's usually your red stock should be like, okay, not too bad, like 0 for 3 on Apple and down half what we're up on Amazon. So that works, except for the fact that this morning we said we like 233 over under and 223 over under and 225. So I don't mind, and we said this in the lesson of the day, I didn't mind this short, waited for confirmation, gave it the lower high, fine. But then it did a perfect mean reversion off the 225 level. That's a golden opportunity. It's on a T. This one's on a T, and I was obviously looking at something else at the time, doesn't matter. VWAP didn't work out. Then I didn't wait for a trend reversion here. Like, it started to go a little bit, not parabolic, but you can see like nice upward move into a resistance level. It didn't actually break the trend line, and I was in early, so I got out, and then it was a violent break of the trend line, which didn't really give you a chance at an entry. This one, nothing you can do about it, because I probably would never have gotten the entry point. So Apple, in the longer time frame, still working underneath the 50 period, the 225. That's why I was only looking short, and no run to 220 even, but I think you're in a consolidation under the 50 period kind of mode until proven otherwise. I'm still going to be looking for short trades in Apple, as long as it hangs out in this pattern under the 50 period SMA. If it reclaims it, fair enough, but it did this before. We saw this happen back in September, where it was a short underneath, and eventually it resolved higher and then made a run at the all-time high. So there's still a chance it could get that all-time high, but for now, temporarily looking shorts.
Yeah, no, we pointed this name out in the morning, Neil, and I was like, yeah, clear level that kind of stands out is that reaction low at that 220. If that comes in today, then maybe we can take a look for a potential opportunity there. But you can see off of the open, we did kind of come into that low 220.34. So if you had that, and if you kind of saw that come in, maybe potentially, yeah, the reversion is quite nice as well. The break of trend, the dissipation of the bid, as the volume also kind of fades off as well. But the thing is, it hasn't really gone anywhere, right? It's pretty much traded sideways on this 222 shelf right here. Bit of a solid hold, level hold on that 222 area right there, as it just churns and orbits around VWAP. So pretty much an inside day here on Apple. Hasn't even broken its earnings reaction range, reference low, reference high either. Nowhere close, just trading sideways. So that's Apple for you. Nothing too crazy going on here.
My life? Okay. Up 0.5% right now is the SPY. It's well off the highs, though. Here we go. We got into that 575 and 2/3, well below it now, into that 571.5. Here's what we got today. We obviously got the jobs numbers, and the U.S. only added about 12,000 jobs this time around for October, sharply missing the estimates, widely blamed, though, on the hurricanes as well as some layoffs. We know Boeing, the machinists, 33,000 plus were laid off, as well as Spirit Aerosystems and some other suppliers had to furlough employees. So that was a bit of an issue there. We also separately got good earnings reports from some companies yesterday, some big names like Amazon and Intel, decidedly up on the day, guys. But it looks like we're giving back some of that right now on the SPY.
Well, technically, yes. I mean, the SPY's at 0.5 point to the upside. So, yeah, you're giving a little bit back, but you got to look at the other side of this too, which is, hey, you couldn't press past the highs. We've seen that play out. You consolidated off of those highs. We dipped, and look at that. Looky. There is Hooky. That's obviously from Hook. The Robin Williams edition. Not that you would know. But the 50 period holds like an absolute champion. And what goes up must come down, but you still have the support base at that 50 period turning into local support now, about 571 on the SPY. So I have a question, and I want to throw it to you. Mic'd up, Andrew? Okay, good. I know he's mic'd up. I just asked for effect. No, now that we've pulled right back, we got the bounce that we're looking for off of support here on the SPY, and tech looking like it wanted to come back up. So how do you feel if we lose the 50 on SPY? Are you gonna be looking for any buys underneath? Are you gonna look for? Because what I like to look for, just to tee this up a little bit, if we lose support on the SPY, I'm gonna look for the big cap tech names that don't, and with the things that can hold on to strength if we go underneath here. But what's your approach here? I know you've been looking a lot at IWM, not to put you on the spot for the SPY, but that 50 is a big one.
Yeah, so as far as how I kind of determine that, of course, as traders, we always have to use hindsight as a lesson, but ultimately where we make money is in foresight. It's looking forward. How do we kind of notice what's going to pop, right? What's my next move? What move can I anticipate? And Neil was right on the money there with mentioning different names, which names are holding strength, things like that. So if the SPY loses a 50, or if SPY starts to lose down back into that 570 area down here, then you really have to ask yourself, well, okay, are we going to go take out the low, or do I think it's going to bounce? If your conviction is it's going to bounce, which expectations don't really suggest that necessarily needs to happen, but if we do start to strong close into Friday, like right up in here above 574, that would warrant we continue Monday based off kind of the principles of how the weekend swings work. But if that is the case, what you want to do is you actually want to go, since we've already bottomed, you want to go and play the leaders, which would be things like softwares, Adobe, ADBE. This performed very well off the low and is still holding from the open of the day. Now, it might not be from the yesterday's close or the relative to other things, but that's one of them. Another name is something like XBI. Check out XBI. Still phenomenally strong despite the markets doing that. So that's what you really want to look into. Now, if you think the markets are going to make a new low and then rally, we would have to go play the laggers because those are going to get the first rotation into them. Remember, if you want to play the continuation, once the market's already bottomed, play the leaders. And if you want to play the bottom, which would be like you would have played yesterday, you would have longed, you would have played the laggers, which were something like IWM, which moved much more in the morning. Back to you guys.
Fantastic look there, Ray. We know we can put you on the spot right there. And all of that knowledge and all of this segment, which we love, brought to you by our good friends at Trade the Pool, allowing traders like you to get evaluated and trade real shares using the company's capital. No PDT rule holding you back. That's a real edge in trading. Here's the exciting part. Trade the Pool has just launched a limited edition program for stock traders. For a one-time fee of just $97, you'll receive $20,000 in buying power. All you need to do is reach the profit goal. Best part? This limited edition program now has a reduced profit goal and fewer minimum trades required to reach the funded phase. Plus, the profit split is upgraded. Keep 70% of the profits. Don't miss the chance to explore this limited time offer. Join now for free. Link in the description or scan the QR code below. Before we go back to Meta, can you please just show everybody this? I see you didn't even want the Reversion King mantra, and then you just showed me a chart of like a beautiful reversion opportunity.
Yeah, no, what was it? I think Adara just stepped out. She was like, take a look at Lulu. It's up 8%. And I was like, oh boy. I pulled up the chart and I was like, what is going on here? We're doing relative volume. Sure, the volume has been falling off, but this thing is definitely sending it. What is the move here? Yeah, over 8% right now. So that's what I was looking at. And I kind of looked away because I'm like, this thing is pretty strong in a market that's kind of like chop. A little more sideways than anything right now. So I'm just like, all right, well, maybe potential for opportunity, but it is a little extended off of VWAP as well. Let's see if it's coming into any sort of prior levels. Let's go to the hourly. Okay, let's go to the 3 hour right there. The hourly is a little Not going to show us much right now. Okay, so cool, right there. So right away, 230, so 325, 320, 323 area potentially there. But yeah, super strong going into the close today, close of the week. And yeah, I didn't really have any. I didn't look up any news on this, but right away it says on pace for largest percent decrease largest percent increase since 2023 of October. So I don't know what's going on here just yet, but the price action definitely looks enticing. Less Lululemon.
Good day for Meta, a little bit less than 0.5% in the green right now. A couple of headlines to talk about there. Citigroup maintaining their buy on Meta, but it was a nice and respectable price target upgrade here to $705 for META. Kathy Wood as well chiming in to Meta, looking to pick up about 34,000 shares, about tune of $19 million, also dumping about 8,300 of Tesla shares simultaneously, guys. So Meta up about 0.5 point.
Yeah, if you were going to point out, like, what does a resistance zone look like on an intraday chart, then $573 on Meta. I mean, there's other examples too. I mean, like, obviously we can show you guys 200 on Amazon, but that's cheating because we're going to talk about Amazon next. 573 on Meta would be perfect. Now, we were trading Amazon today, not Meta, for obvious reasons. But you can almost end the analysis with that in VWAP, because it has been 573 to VWAP to 573 to VWAP, and you guys get the idea here. Let me tell you, if you can somehow manage to break that back out, I like to draw channels on charts with trends, and everyone's sort of seen that. There was this downward trend here, or downward channel off the highs that I wanted Meta to break out. You can see when it did break it out, extended, made a run at the all-time high, and then couldn't break it. And when you pull back in here, all of a sudden, when you're back underneath, first close back underneath, and the actual high is that same top of the previous trend line, which is 573. So it's like it's still valid in here. So a breakout of this would be a breakout of that same trend from before. Ideally, the market would be going up, and we could think about a breakout trade going into power hour. Unfortunately, I think you got to play resistance as it lies. And for now, you're probably scalping that 573. That said, I mean, I'm trading Nvidia and AMD. Nvidia, which just bounced again. I'm on the 15 minutes. I'm just going to leave it here. So just bounced again. It was a flat bottom break, 135.5. It got to 35. I got some out there quarters. Now it looks like it wants to come back. I am going to, look at that. I'm not even going to bother with a stop order. That is already going, and I am just going to get out of it because AMD is working much nicer. They're both chip names. One of them is holding down while you just saw Nvidia going up. So if I look for reloads, I'll look for reloads on trend with AMD and not Nvidia. So bring the register there, but just make sure that we trade the one that's setting up a little bit better. So we just got out of Nvidia, holding on to AMD. Meta, I probably don't trade, but 73, obvious resistance.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that kind of stands out to me as well on this chart. It's pretty much sideways action. It hasn't done anything really significant all day. Maybe kind of catch a bid. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Look at that. Look at that lick grab of prior day low. This is again earnings day 2 today. So we do hit prior day low right off of the open. And take a look at that grab. Nice little pullback right there into VWAP, holds a higher low, and then pushes towards what seems to be like a bit of resistance here, just underneath that 573, 572 halves area right here on Meta, holding above VWAP, bit of a sandwich between this selling going on and this buying here above VWAP on Meta, but pretty much sideways. I guess, yeah, you know what? Right off the bat, something that does stand out is the grab of prior day low here on Meta that did happen. I guess is that the first? No, that's the second. So it happened at 9:33, and then it gave you a little opportunity to maybe potentially risk that low on the right side of the V at 9:39. So it seems like right here could be a decent place to maybe make a decision on that idea. But the lit grab of prior day low on earnings day 2, definitely something that I like to look for when it does show up. And I guess I kind of missed that trade on Meta today, but that's just hindsight. Today, just trading sideways for pretty much a majority of the day there. Since about, 10:30, we've been trading sideways.
All right, guys, Amazon, the last of the names here, big move up for Amazon on the day, 6.5%, a little bit off the highs, though, as they reported earnings yesterday after the bell. And it was a beat pretty much everywhere. Top and bottom line, the guide came in a tiny bit light, but the market didn't make them pay for that. In addition, AWS, Amazon Web Service, the biggest of the three cloud players that we talk about, growing nicely, 19% year over year, but definitely not at the pace that Azure and Google Cloud continue to grow. So some concerns there. Also, that $200 Bezos shelf, despite the fact that we did breach it in the pre-market and after the bell, continues to elude us, guys, as we're printing right now 198 1/3.
Amazon. What ticker is that? You mean like the jungle?
Get out of here.
Anyways, so Amazon definitely one to watch today, as like they had pretty solid earnings there, double beat on their earnings, nice little gap up into some of these prior levels, pretty much into almost all-time highs being at 201.30s I have on this chart here. So the high of day today, 250, we got on a bit of a lick grab. You can see the largest volume candle on the day, taking out that 10,000 lots at that 200 level. Quick push up into the halves and breaks right back down. Holds VWAP for, what is this? Let's actually measure how long it held above VWAP for, almost 2 hours before it breaks below VWAP, and then trades a little bit lower there. I remember this selling that kind of came in right here, the 199 back through. That selling was aggressive back down in. You can see that right there. That's a 1 minute chart. It's even more aggressive on a 10-second or a 30-second chart there. All that selling in coming in pretty aggressively. And then now we're trading a little bit lower here on Amazon, pretty much sideways on the day. We're seeing this kind of happen on a lot of tickers here. Again, the markets are a little sideways on the day as well. You can see Spider has not really broken its opening range. Same with Nvidia. Nvidia is kind of trading within its morning range session as well. A lot of these other tickers, the same deal here. A bit of a consolidation underneath 200 here on Amazon. That didn't really come in, but this 197 area, oh boy, we could talk about the anchored VWAP here. You can see how beautiful. Where did anchored go? You can see how beautiful that anchored came in today. As okay, so you know what? I guess I didn't put it on this chart, but let's do that real quick. Throwing up an anchored on the earnings candle right here. So let me just get that one right there. Boom. You can see how beautifully that anchored comes in today. So we'll take off the intraday VWAP. You can see how beautifully we hold that anchored coming right off of the open and making higher lows as well. So basically that anchored signifying the average weighted volume price. Anchored off of the volume that came in off of the earnings. So it's like all this strong volume that comes in off of the report, whether it's long term, whether it's short term, but anchored to that prior day's or prior night's volume. And then you can see how well that average, that moving average holds at that 197 for a nice push up to the top back into 200. So that was a really nice. That was a really nice push there. Definitely had some of this price action for the trade through 200. My idea was, okay, well, how can you accumulate inventory to take through 200 if that's going to be a thing? It wasn't really a thing, so we get out of that trade and maybe wait for it some other time. But that 197 area, Neil, oh boy, has it been holding well.
Yeah, it's been an unbelievable run for Amazon, and like actually, Amazon's a good stock for me, so I don't want to hate on it too much, but I mean, you get out of the 15 minute. The 15 minutes not going to do us justice here. I got to show you on the 3 because everything was pure scalp trades for me on Amazon this morning. And ultimately, we said you got to stay in your lane. My plan of action was assume it's a sell in front of the 200 until proven otherwise. That's what we saw earlier. And that's how I started things out. Now, there was right at the open, size at 200, and I decided to like to scalp it. I was pretty convinced it was going to break 200 here. And the idea being the last time Amazon got above 200, that's where the Bezos sell zone was. It wasn't at 200, it was above 200. And so because of that, I was really waiting for a push up early to fade above. So I just essentially scalped for, I think the best we got was like 15 pennies or 17 cents in here. And then, of course, famously watched it plunge, tried a couple of VWAP shorts, mixed success. Best one was the second one. And then after that, it was just a quick breakout trade. Now, because I felt that the 201.50 was a big resistance over top and money fills ultimately might be short in that range, it was a pure scalp trade. It was in at 200, scalp out, tight stop. If it continues, I'll hold the next third for a push in 201.5. But we got the you-know-what out of Dodge on Amazon on that breakout trade. And not holding it back into VWAP, it turned into a short, as everybody can see, and the market is turning into a short. Mr. Raider, what do you got for us?
Oh, I got some little comments to back Mr. Neal up. So you guys, I really like that comment he said about he was waiting for above 200. A lot of the times, not just with price, does price tend to go to odd numbers, but also the time frames that most traders use, at least my professional mentors, and even a lot of these guys, like to use odd number time frames. Now, you might go, well, Raider, there's 60 minutes in an hour, that's an even time frame. No, that's 1 hour, that's an odd number. So as far as why I do that personally, if you want to just throw up my chart, when you have an even number, you can technically have a split of buyers and sellers. We can have 2 and 2. But with a number like 5, we cannot have a number where it's perfectly split down the middle, and thus we get somewhat of an idea of a possible imbalance or a possible direction, a possible bias, if that makes any sense. So again, when I'm looking at time frames, things like you'll look at mine, the 1 hour, you'll look at me looking at the 5 minute, and even the daily chart I mentioned a lot. But mainly my main time frame is the 1 hour. But again, because you can't split it perfectly in half, it can give you that kind of directional bias of which way they're kind of leaning.
That's why we got the Raider on. We're happy to have you once again, Andrew, and we appreciate all the knowledge. I mean, this is a funny thing. We were talking about this when we had our dinner. It's like, you know, oftentimes you're gonna get all types out there. And I know when you see a young man like Andrew, you're like, oh, come on, like what can he know? What's his market experience? And then you spend 5 minutes with him, 10 minutes, whatever it might be, and you really begin to see this is somebody who has, like all of the rest of us, spent hours in front of charts, humble enough to make sure that he's listening to people that mentor him. I love hearing that all the time. He always references his mentor as a very humble guy as well, obviously. But then on top of that, asking questions, being willing to learn because we never stop learning. So giving a new perspective. I have stayed with mostly the same time frames for a while just because it works for me. Maybe I should be looking at some other things. Almost 100% should be. I think that's a really cool thing. There, Andrew. I got to look over. I'm not in a long on Intel, and I want to be in a long on Intel. That's the best way to think about it. So my Intel chart is going to be mildly frustrating because, hey, was Intel a good long? Yes, it was a good long. This will end up being off of VWAP, and then it didn't really break out of that high, but should have had a re-entry. I'll show you what it looks like because it was off VWAP that I was playing, but Intel's now making a run at the highs while the market's at the lows. So that's obviously relatively strong. I don't have to tell anybody that. It was a VWAP trade that I didn't make a retracement on. Then it holds not supported VWAP, but support from the opening range. That's where there's your confirmation of support. There's your challenge of VWAP. Right in there is usually your entry. Maybe you can get another one in there. So I want to play VWAP on Intel. If I don't want to take the breakout of the high of the day, I want to play dips. I want to play dips into 22.90, into 23 as well, because Intel is a strong stock as far as I'm concerned. So we want to be looking to that one for some strength. This VSTE, and a few people in chat had been mentioning this VSTE, another one that was a gorgeous reversion, by the way, Obi.
Yes.
This was, I mean, if you trade small caps, strength up into a halt, and then after the halt, it goes trend down. And then and that's the thing, you want there to be a reason why you're observing the trend, because something changed, right? So strong move up, goes into a halt. Clearly after the halt, it's a different stock. There is your trend down. Look at the entry on that trend reversal. This candle is $4.50 on a stock that had a $6 range on the day. The low is $4.27. So you can, how many entry strategies are you going to show me that would have 25 cents worth of risk, and then to VWAP, you've got $1. And to the high of the day, it doesn't even matter. You guys can see the high of the day is ridiculous. But that's the exact kind of entry I think you look for. Sometimes these types of strategies that you deploy on a stock like this, the risk reward is going to be even better than if you put it on in Apple, let's just say. I mean, I'm just throwing a name out there. So it's trying to hold on to VWAP. Let's see if it can do that. I only like these in the afternoon if it can hold on to VWAP. Once it loses that, kind of like Sharif in that regard. I think you should be looking for some shorts. What else we got going on here? I mean, I was going to talk about Bitcoin, IBIT, because Bitcoin might be losing support once again. Yeah, we're right back at the lows here. Let me just double check, because I know we're at 39.3 on IBIT is the low. I'm just going to slide on over. Yes, one more. Yeah, we're right at 69 here on BTC. So just above it, but this is exactly where the lick grab came in and bounced off 69,000. That is that prior trend support level. So it was resistance, now support. So, watch out for BTC down here at that 69,000. I'll probably look for a bounce initially if we get all the way down there, but Bitcoin is getting to those lows.
Yeah, definitely gotta watch out for any sort of crazy moves. It is almost the weekend, and I think we were talking about what Bitcoin makes some crazy moves over the weekend sometimes.
Usually,
but yeah, definitely maybe poising for that with that all-time high well within range here. Again, you guys know the price action on Bitcoin and the percentages that it can move. Definitely, those all-time highs are well within range. If anything there. Got out of the Peloton long there. That selling comes right back in, kind of holding that trend there. So we did kind of bid up. We attempted to break a little bit there with that. So we got some volume coming in, but that selling steps right back in. So I'm like, all right, that's perfectly fine. Nothing too crazy. Again, not necessarily an A+ setup, but something to definitely potentially take a stab at if the trend does break, and that didn't really work out there. You can see that strong volume that just came in as well on this recent bar here, with that selling coming right back in, back through that 730s as of right now, trading on Peloton. What's up, Andrew?
Yo, this is just a setup that just hit one of my entries, was actually Walmart. So be watching this, guys. We talked about the defensive rotation. When market starts to sell off a little bit, you'll see some of these defensive names start to pick up. So for you scalpers out there, I actually just entered this one with today. So be watching this one back to the upside. If things get crazy into the close, 82.63 is not out of the picture.
I like some Walmart. Okay, so I know I said I'd prefer to buy VWAP on Intel than the breakout of the top. Well, Intel doesn't. The stocks don't care what you think or what you want. They're just going to do whatever it is that they are going to do regardless, and you just can basically react to it. So it's not getting the VWAP. It ends up breaking out the high. See, everyone's like yelling in the chat. Well, nobody's yelling in the chat, but you get the idea. So it breaks out this top at 47. I wait till it breaks 50 because round number. In at 52. I'm going to like this back to 40. And I guess it's harder to see. Yeah, well, fine. It's easy enough to see it at 40. See, you just said back to 23. To me, that's two separate trades. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's two separate trades. Like, if it holds here, I can add up here. But if it breaks underneath, and now these bars are like 35. Now it's breaking underneath. I'm getting out.
I like that.
No, but see, but again, you have to be
23 hole was what I was saying.
Yeah, but it's different. Like, I'm never holding a breakout trade all the way back into VWAP. If I've done it, then I've made a colossal error, because that has nothing to do with how I trade. I think those are two separate trades. Either the breakout is working or the dip buy on trend is working. So there's a dip buy on trend, there's a breakout. And I don't want to lose everything I'd make on a dip buy trying to work a breakout trade into something that it's not. So I try to treat those as two separate things.
Sure.
So I'm willing to take it breaking out that 50, but I'm going to get out here. If it can reestablish the top end of the range, great. I can re-enter the trade. If it pulls back into VWAP, then I'm just going back to doing the thing that I was going to do anyways. I meant to talk about we did talk about VSTE, right? I went over that one.
Yeah.
It's trying to hold VWAP. It hasn't done it yet, but Intel was breaking that high, so I had to take that shot at it. Now I'm going to wait for a pullback into 23 or VWAP.
I didn't even see that you took a shot at it. Somebody in the chat mentioned it, and I pulled it up. And I was like, oh, Intel high a day there. I pull it up, and then there's like reserves on the 23 halves, and I'm like, all right, well, if we're not gonna have continuation or momentum through the high a day there, and we're trading sideways, I like that for a reversion back into the mean there. But let's see if the reversion is going to work, or if it's going to be a little mean and we get back right up to the highs there. I have no idea, but taking a look at how sideways and choppy the market is, I'm going to look for it to continue staying a little bit sideways and choppy, and that's kind of the idea there. Yeah, no. What is the next trade? You can see the scalps that I kind of took here on Amazon. It was funny. Win and I went for a bit of a walk earlier, and I was like, yeah, I was feeling so nice. I got like six scalp, 4 or 5 scalps in a row, back to back, and I was like, oh, that's nice. And then I get into that last one and give a decent chunk back. But taking a look back at it, I stepped away right here. I punched out of the short. I initially went long on the grab of this prior low here, so I was like, all right, that's I really like that action. Get long for reversion to VWAP, and I noticed that it starts to slow down, 98 30s, 98 50s, and then I started getting short a little bit there. Underneath, again, risking into that in 199 for a pullback into the low day there, but I punch out right there, go for that walk, and it's funny how that is the wick high of that little that moment there, and then it comes right in. Unfortunately, I did have some orders sitting there that I forgot about to cover, so it got me long, and I just punched out as soon as I noticed that. But trading a little bit sideways here underneath VWAP, we never got through that 200, man. And the market, you can see what the market's been doing, pulling right back in, so pretty much sideways there as of right now. So let us know in the chat, what have you guys been trading? I'm watching Peloton as well. Peloton's been selling off aggressively all day. So talk about the whole market ranging, and we got a ticker right here that is very directional, very trend bound. Oh boy, something's coming into Intel here. That someone's slapping that bid right there. You can see that candle come all the way down into 2320s. All right, so let's see if we can get that VWAP there. Okay, you know what? That's not even VWAP. That's anchored. We just came down into earnings anchored and bid up aggressively there. So I do maybe want to watch that. Earnings anchored sitting at 2210s, 2211s, and you can see it slammed right into that anchored and then bid right back up another 15, 20 pennies off of that. So that might be a little interesting. Maybe something sitting at that that anchor there. Again, Wayne and I talking more and more about this. There's definitely orders that are sitting at some of these anchors here on earnings day one. Names anchored to earnings or earnings reaction there. But yeah, no, Peloton looking at this one, starting to go a little bit sideways. We called this one out here on a bit of a trend break. Here, as the bid kind of starts to step up, you can see some increasing volume as well as on the flush, and it's holding 725's day low right now, trading at 741s. Let's see how that one goes there. Again, looking at the 30-minute chart, you can see here, got 17 minutes left, so still a long time for this 30-minute candle to print, but you can see how well this trend has been holding on the 30-minute chart here, straight to the downside. Let's see if we can get some more to the downside, or do we actually kind of break sideways and push up? It is 2:43, Neil, so it's almost time for power hour. So this thing may not have a lot of umph left. There's not too many 30-minute candles left in the day to print on this chart here on Peloton.
2 left.
Yes,
print.
exactly.
As a matter of fact. No, oh, come on, Intel. So as Obi just pointed out, where Intel bounced and where it didn't bounce, right? So there's where it did bounce, there's where it didn't bounce. So, I mean, sometimes it's just like that. So part of the idea is to get out of the break and then try to get the dip buy. But ultimately, like, it didn't quite press into 23 and into VWAP, so that's me canceling the orders. Now, the reason why I'd cancel in a situation like that, like, the idea is to get the initial flush off of the failed break. Now, if it pulls back in, that's something different. Like, it's still into the same support area, but I wouldn't want to catch a falling knife at that level. On the failed break, I don't mind doing that because I think it can snap back up. It's just people stopping out on the failed breakout. So I get a tight stop so that when other people are getting stopped out, I want to get picked back up. But once that doesn't happen, I have to look for a different entry point into Intel, which would be a consolidation off VWAP, some higher lows, rounded bottoms, something along those lines. I just have to be patient because I think I missed my opportunity for that dip buy. Hopefully somebody got it in there. Congratulations if you did. I obviously did not, so it is what it is. I wanted to get back over to that VSTE. I'm going to have Intel up. I'm still going to look for that entry. But what is this company name? I'll say it once, and then I'll probably never say it again. Vast Renewables Limited, which is over there on the NASDAQ, it's now holding above VWAP. So there is the rounded top, bottom, now holding above VWAP. So I'm going to look for an entry here with a stop underneath the volume-weighted average price, waiting for it to finally hold above. Let's go over to Andrew, and hopefully I get some VSTE.
Hey. Okay, I need to stop with this crazy intro. So as far as the trade that we just picked up, so I actually did grab shares instead of options. I pulled up the chain when I entered, but right before I entered when it triggered, and I was like, dude, these contracts are just not it. So I actually did grab a bunch of shares here. So we're doing a classic Trader TV play here. But again, this one's ripping to the upside. Again, if this continues into the close, they start to pick up defensives once again, I think Walmart will continue to do well. One more thing about the markets in particular. With how we're closing right now, we do have a bias, again, to close under 574. Do we get a pop-up above it? Do we get something like that? Okay. But right now, the expectation isn't necessarily to flush all the way to the low. But that's just what I'm seeing on my side. And then as far as a timing perspective, if you guys want to talk about timing trades, I always talk about this again. If you're looking at something in the lunch hour and you're a trader who does swing trade, this is to you swing traders, really focus. If I'm going to swing trade this play for a week or so, is now the right timing? For example, right now on BA, I only entered 1/3 of my position size. As soon as I entered, it drops against me right down here. But it was only 1/3 of my position size because it's not past 2 o'clock yet. Now that we're coming into the close, you'll see BA is starting to rip back to the upside. This is where I'm going to start to add to my full position size if it continues to work out. That is all about timing. It saves you the pain, and it saves you from taking an unnecessary loss that you emotionally get out of when you don't need to be. So that's it, guys.
Look there, Andrew, and good luck there with Walmart. Love some Walmart. They are fantastic. So
Great company.
I already forget the name of VSTE.
If you want an example of stonks only go up, Walmart's a good example.
Costco is a great example of that.
Great example.
Look, both fantastic
Visa and
companies.
MasterCard?
Visa. Well, have you seen the chart of Visa lately? Maybe you want to pull that one up again
Okay,
before you.
I know it's been doing
before you anoint it. No, it just had they just had a little bit of a dump on. Essentially, they were cutting costs and making some job cuts, and they did a bit of a dump. And of course, the next day, then reported and gained the entire thing back. I felt like it was a bit of a. It was a nasty job for anyone trading that in the afternoon before earnings on Visa. Anyways, VSTE, which I already forgot, was Vast Renewables Limited. Doesn't really matter. 5 million usual volume on this thing. It's done 54 million in volume. And the key thing is the float is 1.28 million. Now, I'm old enough to remember when you didn't have this many names that would have essentially a non-existent float. But it's a different market that we are in now than your father's market or mine. So you got a bunch of these. Now, it didn't give me the trade right off of VWAP. It essentially just set up a $6 break, bounce off VWAP, break of $6 on resistance, play 2-6 quarter. Now, because I'm not playing the VWAP entry, it's a 6 entry with the stop underneath the prior bar close, which is like 585. So it ends up about 20 cents risk. So in there at the quarters is 1-to-1. And when it gets into 630, you're taking a little bit better than that. Now I'm going to look for the break above 635. And clearly, as you can see, that's about the point that it died into VWAP and played into the $7 range. So if it breaks 635, we'll look 650, we'll look $7 to the upside with a stop 15 cents underneath. So it's a pretty tight risk because we're a little bit far away from VWAP, but at this point, can't turn red as we were able to scalp some out of it. AMD, we're still in. Short side, that's working. Intel, I'd love to be in. Wow, look at that. Oh, it's a good thing we got that exit point. This is what you want. That fill, that was money. Because they just lit grab right underneath our entry, but see where the stop is? And our stop, it's the second time I've actually gotten a fantastic fill. It happened on Amazon earlier. On a stock like this, stop ran at 86, I got filled at 85. So that was pretty tight risk, but it just lit grabbed and came right back up. So this could still be valid. I'd have expected this push gets us down in here for a dip, and then we'd try to resume. But if I'm taking it away from VWAP, I'm not holding it into VWAP. The plan of action to me was not to hold it 10% against me. It was to hold a fraction of a point. We'll make sure we stay green on it and look for another entry point on VSTE. Again, VWAP would have been ideal. I was about to pivot to Intel, then you saw live that came back underneath. Intel now holding some higher lows, so I got out with the intention of getting VWAP in. That hasn't happened. It lit grabbed, as Obi mentioned to you guys, to that anchored VWAP, and now you're holding a higher low. That was very aggressive.
We just pulled it up on a 1 second chart, and that pull down happened in 6 seconds right into anchored and then bid right back up in the next like 10, 15 seconds or so. But yeah, no, you're talking about Visa. Dude, this is a prime example of stonks never go down, or stonks only go up. Like this is 6 points away from 5 points away from all-time highs on Visa. And again, you got to think about this. What kind of business are they in? They're in the business of making money off borrowed money.
How are you supposed to lose?
How do you lose? You don't.
Don't get me started on money.
It's a great business.
Money is debt. Don't get me started.
Yeah.
Our entire financial system depends on lending other people money and then creating said money out of thin air so that you can lend it.
Yep.
So, you know.
I think
if you're in the business,
Visa and MasterCard are a great visual representation of that concept.
Oh, they really are. Oh, I could go on all day about that. So just one quick update here on AMD, and then I want to get back to that VSTE. So it just came in, wicked off VWAP here. I was already in the short on a trend reversal, and then there's the rejection of VWAP. There's a lower high in, new stop to 142, just above 142.80 on it. But now it's holding VWAP. So much like Nvidia, I feel like we got out of Nvidia on time. That started trending back up. But AMD's starting to hold on to VWAP here. So might tighten this one up. You're starting to see a little bit more strength than when we had it earlier. So I'm going to tighten this one up. Still looking for long in Intel, which is a bit of a priority. But AMD, I do not want to turn a winning trade into a losing trade there on AMD. So I did reload lower, meaning my average price is right about where my new stop is on AMD, just a little bit slightly above it. So we're looking for this entry on Intel. It's still going sideways. I want it to give me some determination of where it wants to go. And then I still had VSTE up, which while I got out in that quick little scalp trade, it's now holding underneath $6. So it might retest VWAP here. That strength is starting to wane. The thing I don't like about this is the volume. What's going on there? Oh, I have this on. I was drawing trend lines. Oh, it's the volume I want you guys to be able to see. The volume dwindling. So it picked up when we entered on that 6 break, but the second it fails, now you're back showing a little bit less volume. Not what I want to see for a low float runner that's supposed to be breaking out in the afternoon. I want to see that pick up. I want to see either give me support to 550, break away from this $6 level. Otherwise, we should, I don't know. It's above VWAP. I don't want to give up on it just yet. But to me, and come back to the chart for a second, when a trader like myself, who in this trade is going to have a tight stop, like when I get wicked out, the idea is if it's really strong, when you get like the tight stop, weaker hands out in a situation like that, you should just start going. Like it's supposed to lit grab people out there, not give people that took this kind of a trade like myself a chance to get back in when it runs 6. So it feels to me like this is looking a little bit weak. It should have just snapped back up usually if you're going to go. I'm not giving up on it, but it's certainly not looking as good as it did before. All right, here comes Intel. Couple of rounded bottom wicks. There you go. There's 1, there's 2. Now it's looking a little bit stronger. Why do I always go to the midpoint instead of just trying to get into it on the bid here? Anyways, I went to the midpoint, which is ridiculous. It's like an instinct. It's at 35 by 36. I try to get midpoints, 35 half. I end up just hitting 36. So Intel now rounding back into the upside, and we'll play it into the high of the day. So we took the breakout trade, and now ultimately I just didn't get in essentially where I got out. We took the breakout trade, didn't work, waited for it to resume trend up, catch it after a couple of higher lows, take our entry after it shows us some strength into it, and we'll play into the high of the day. I'll probably hold half of it for a break of the high of the day, but we'll scalp along the way to said high of the day, which means you have to have orders out, because the last I checked, you can only get fills if you put orders out into the market.
Oh.
They taught me that in day 1 of training.
Really? So you're telling me that if I have the intention but I don't have any orders, there's no trade?
Well, yes. That is more or less exactly what I'm saying.
That's fair.
It's true. It's true.
It's very true. I think I was taught the same thing on my first day. But,
if you weren't, then they were doing you a disservice. And whomever, actually, and I know exactly who, first of all, you were taught that because I know exactly who was saying it.
Yes. Yeah, Intel's coming right back in. So again, I got to be a little bit more nimble here, and I have been as it kind of holds on the bid. I'm piecing some off, trying to get better at that more, I guess, dynamic decision making right there.
I don't like that.
Again, if it's holding for a little too long, maybe I want to take some off, maybe take some more off. and then if it's starting to hold higher a little bit, and it's starting to really piece in and out of the position and really get aggressive as it starts to work for you, right? That's what I'm trying to get it a little bit better at here. Trying to be more dynamic with the entries and the exits here. A little bit more with the exits than the entries. A little bit more precise with the entries, and then a little bit more dynamic with the trade, like the management and the exits there as well. But yeah, let's see if we can get back there. We did kind of push up into 2330s there. Covered a decent chunk on the way back there. Still holding a little piece there to see if that high of day really is failing to follow through as of right now. So we've got to keep eyes on this one here. Again, pulling up the Intel chart here. This is okay, nice. I actually have a 1 minute chart open on Intel here, interestingly enough. I like the 3 minute. Again, right here. So we marked off pre-market lows there. We kind of grabbed that, held above. And now right here, we did break out of this day high right here. You can see the pre-market action doesn't even get there. And we also talked about how beautiful of a reversion this was at an attempt through pre-market highs. Can't even get through some of this consolidation from the after hours there on Intel, and it pretty much lick grabs. You can see on the 3 minute, look at that wiki action there. It doesn't really want to get through. I'm sure if I pull up a 5 minute, it's going to look kind of similar there. A little bit of a lick grab on the 5 minute as well, along with a trend break happening here. That is not my screen as well.
What is
like
that?
That's not okay. So this Intel chart right here. So that's what I'm talking about. This one right here. So pulling back in and then pulls right back up and then does another lick grab of that prior day high. So can't really get past that, fails to follow through, and then slams right into the anchored where it does find a bit of a bid there. So I've got to respect that a little bit as we start to slow down here and go a little sideways. Again, market's pretty much sideways as well today. So if we are going to respect the chop, we must respect the chop and stay nimble there on names like Intel here. So just looking for it. It has been making technically, I guess, higher highs and higher lows off of the open there. But we'll see how this one ends off on the day today. Again, earnings day one here on Intel, kind of creeping up, holding VWAP as well. Intraday VWAP has been held quite well here. As also you can see, if I take off all the rest of the indicators right there, VWAP hold was pretty mint coming off the opening session there, and a little bit midday as well, going into the end of the day. Entering power hour in about 3 minutes, Neil. So see what Intel does on the day one close here. But yeah, I don't really have anything else too much on watch. Nothing too crazy going on as of right now. I guess ARM is at low of day. That's interesting there. I'm looking at some
low of day.
Yeah, ARM is literally trading at low of day there. That double bottom from yesterday, quite interesting on top of the 140. So I guess we can take a look at it together while I'm speaking on it. Right here, take a look at this ARM. Look at that strong flush, nice little hold. A lot of I guess tests or wicks or touches of this 140 area. Look at that, nice little consolidation end of day, and then going through into the closing imbalance as well, gets bid up for an open even higher, but we were trending all the way back down towards some of those lows from yesterday. Today, again, we've been kind of selling off aggressively since I guess pre-market yesterday. This one was on a bit of the scanner there, doing relative volume off of the open as well. Interesting bottom coming in on ARM, maybe potentially. But yeah, no, leave it in the chat. What are you guys looking at? What are you guys trading? What is the next trade is what I'm asking, and I don't really see anything on my radar right now, Neil.
I don't know if it's this VST, but I can tell you they just lick wrap. You were already talking about it on Intel, and it's funny because as Obi said, broke trend. I'm like, okay, I'm in it. And we got our couple of scalps as it broke out that 40, and then it lost the trend line, lit grabbed again, and is now headed higher. So probably the way to go on Intel for any long in here is to understand that it's going to do these lit grabs and look for an entry on the next one.
Yes.
Yeah. So instead of trying to get it on the way up, how about when it does this, and when it does that, and it does this, look for that lit grab and then try to get in on the lit grab, which does mean I have to have, which I already do, I'll have to have a level 2 up to see if I can pick one of those up on tape. Not always an easy thing to do, but if it closes a bar underneath that channel, that's a different story. You know, because it's already done one reversion on the breakout. If it does another, it's probably headed into VWAP. I think VSTE might be able to stick a fork in. I mean, I have it up. It's holding VWAP. I don't know if we're going to get if you get a press into VWAP, I don't think you like it. At this point, it now just needs to hold on to 6, and that's about it. So I think this one is a bit of a waste of time at this particular point. I do have eyeballs on something here as you are actually getting a move and a trend up. And believe it or not, DJT, this is SSR. It was down over 10%, and it's been down. I mean, look, DJT has been down for several days in a row. It's not the first time it's been down double digits, and it's not, well, it'll do moves like this a lot. But it was a great trend reversal trade heading into a 33 resistance zone. So 33, pretty obvious of the spot. Did I even pay for locates on this thing? Let me just double check. Ooh, Neil prepared. So I did pay for locates this morning on DJT, which means I am locked and loaded. If it makes a run at VWAP and press up, it's that 33 zone. Look at the rejection last time it got here. Very clean rejection of that level. So I'm still in AMD. I did take a little bit of profit, but I'm looking to add to more as that's underneath VWAP. But I had to show you Intel, which we got out of. So we're still holding on to AMD after the reload. Andrew, how's Walmart?
Well, Walmart, we can actually go check that right now. I haven't even looked. It's doing all right. But as far as what I was going to talk about, but I know Sean's, Neil's real curious about how much money I'm making today. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, as far as SPY right here, one of the common rules that I want to show you guys, and this is really a common trend, a technical analysis tool you guys can use whenever you see big gaps like this. So one of the key things I'm thinking about, well, which I think isn't really in play right now, but whenever you see a big gap up like this, one rule I like to always implement. You hear everyone mention, oh, well, typically you fill gaps, right? Oh, and it sounds smart, but it's not foresight. It's not, okay, well, you're going into a gap, but that's not always like it's just going to go. Once it hits the gap, it goes and fills the gap. They do fill, but over time. And so one of the best rules I've found with liquidity gaps, whenever you see a gap, if you take 30% of that gap from wherever it broke down. So let me just explain it this way. So in this case, we gapped up from the low here, right around 540 on SPY. This was last September, all the way up here to 544, okay? And if I zoom in real big so you can't miss this, this was a gap from open to close. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure that gap. And it was around 4.36, just for give or take. What I'm gonna do is, as you can see here, I'm going to take from the opening price, I'm gonna take 30% of this total gap, and that is where I can expect a liquidity zone into that gap. So it's not always that the gaps fill right away. It's actually 30% into a gap. You can expect some sort of liquidity zone. And this is a general rule with every single major gap in the markets. And this right here was another example. You can do this with any gap as long as it's a significant one. If it's like a few pennies, it doesn't work. But this is a little thing you guys can use.
I think that's a fantastic way to look at it. That's the thing. Like you don't only want to have ideas for, oh, I like this stock in X direction. You want to have an idea of where the move can go and what it is that you're looking to capture. That's the other side of trading. So along those lines, this is my segue. I'm going to get back to you in a quick little second, but I did take a fill in AMD. I just wanted to show you why. So it came off of VWAP. I was looking to add off of this lower high. You can cancel that order in there. Didn't catch it, so we only had the VWAP entry. Then we bounced off the exact same wick to get back underneath the prior bar, so took some out there. Now I want to look to hold into 42. I'm still looking to reload off of VWAP on trend with AMD. We got out of Nvidia to hold on to AMD and add to that one because it was a little bit weaker, so relative weakness in AMD.
Yeah, no, bless you.
I tried to hold on to the Obi.
Yes.
And then it's like the dramatic pause on me, so I could.
Okay, that's perfect. All right. Bless you, Neil. No, I thought I looked to the side. I saw you move first before you sneeze. I thought you were like dabbing, but then I was like, all right, no. Then I heard the sneeze. I was like, I thought you were really.
You think I would dab?
I don't know. That's a pretty dope trade.
Oh, come on, man. I'm like, no. First of all, A, that's like 15 million years ago. B, like that wasn't. No, I'm not. No. No, that's not my thing. Even my daughter doesn't dab. She's way too cool for dabbing.
That's fair. That's fair.
Sorry about the snake. I get allergies.
I just thought I saw, maybe.
So actually, you know what? I'm going to call up Fabian for a second here.
Yes.
Because it's not Fabian's fault, but like we have all of these crazy lights and stuff this big rig. You can see some of it behind us. Look, let's be real. None of that gets dusted. None of it gets dusted up there. So whenever anybody is working on all of this, it gets out of control. And like my allergies are like, trust me, like it's not fun. I've taken Reactin all day. It's just been an absolute wreck anytime anybody does that work. So
you know what you need to kind of strengthen that up? Something that may help in life, that will boost your immunity, brain function, nervous system support, and energy release essentials, fighting the fatigue.
No.
Vitamin V for Vegemite.
I'll actually take something which is made for allergies.
It has to be expired in 2021 or something.
Yeah, well.
Okay. I haven't sneezed all day, Neil. I understand that, correlation is not always causation, but there's a little bit of confluence.
I mean.
Exactly. It's like confluenza, exactly. All right, so you guys in the chat, I asked you guys, what are you guys trading? Point out anything. Where's the next trade? What's the next setup? And I forget who it was, but somebody pointed out Coinbase for flat bottom break. So let's see. This is a beautiful, beautiful reversion. I was talking to Neil earlier. I was like, all right, where are some of the best reversions that happened today? Crypto, if you pull up a lot of crypto tickers here, again, IBIT, we can see it on there. Coinbase, we can see it on here. Look at that aggressive bid in the morning session, and that turn comes in right at 10:30 with that bid dissipating as well as the volume trickling down as well. And you can see a beautiful, beautiful reversion on the break of trend, making lower highs and lower lows with that aggressive selling, even coming in with expanding volume on the selling as well. So beautiful reversions happening on Coinbase. Flat bottom break, I don't know about that, but as you can see right here, look at that consolidation in the pre-market. That's a little unnatural. There's definitely something here at that, what is that, 180 level. You can see that nice little grind in the pre-market session right here, and then it kind of gets an aggressive bid off of the open, and look at where it kind of stalls and stops, coming right back in, 180. So there's definitely something on that right here. Flat bottom breakdown potentially, but you got to see some of these lows give on Coinbase for that to happen. Let's take a quick look at Bitcoin and see what that is up to here, just to make sure we are kind of, I guess with the Ponzi, right? You got to see if the Ponzi is doing what we're looking for, and we have been pulling back off of that 71.6 on Bitcoin as of this afternoon, and that's where that reversion kind of came in from, with that Bitcoin aggressive selling coming in on the break of trend here in and around 10:30. Look at how that selling kind of comes in, and that aggressive selling more going into that 12 o'clock mark there on Bitcoin there. Let's take a quick look at Mara and Riot as well. Some of the other, and we'll take a look at MSTR as well. Again, look at that 10:30 fade. Mara actually reverted more than 100% of the move. You can see it's way past its day low right there. So Mara was a great vehicle to take some of that reversion right there. Let's take a quick look at Riot and MSTR. Riot also taking out its day low, and MSTR as well taking out its day low. Seems like Coinbase is the only one that's kind of lagging behind. Again, that 180 level is showing itself in the pre-market, and with the rest of some of these crypto-related names already having broken through their day low, it is interesting, this 180 level hold on Coinbase that did show face in the pre-market session. So could be interesting. Flat bottom break, I don't know, man. It's holding quite strong as of right now. But if that buying is gone, then maybe the long is definitely wrong off of that 180 there. We saw a quick flash of the Fabian.
You guys saw Fabian hard at work. Thank you. I saw lots of people in the chat with some advice for how we could do some better dusting in here. Ramin just said, and none of those ideas, and I thank you for them, will never get implemented, she just said. But as you were just mentioning, IBIT was so close. It was almost as if you were jinxing it, Obi. Because right then and there, as you were talking about it, look at it's not a day-long trend, but the trend from the high, which is held all day, effectively since 10 o'clock, was about to get tested and broken. Now, as you can clearly see, it is not broken. So I was all geared up to look for a long entry on IBIT off the lows. Instead, as you just mentioned, we're heading right back into the bottom. So yeah, that's out the window. I'm definitely going to leave it in there. Yes, there is something up with Nvidia.
Ooh,
I was about to go, look, I'm in AMD, and AMD is getting close to VWAP, so there's that, but Nvidia is there as well. So we're in Nvidia. Remember, I wasn't short Nvidia off of VWAP. I was short here on a breakdown. So to me, get out when it, look, either it holds trend down or get out when it goes higher low, break even. Right? Like preserve. Like make something, get out so you're positive on the trade. Clearly the breakdown didn't fall all over itself and now it's trending back into the upside. So it went from a stock that I thought was a short to one that's looking a little bit stronger. And Nvidia's got a similar look too. It's a line, this is more line of best fit. I don't necessarily love trading off of it, but it has confluence with VWAP. I like the IBIT because it's a more steep trend reversal, but Nvidia is breaking out on trend, which has me, well, I'm not going to move my stop. I'm actually going to still look at that 142.80 on AMD and see if we can hold underneath that. If that curls, I would look short. We can hold on to this trend above, close out above, hold VWAP. I think Nvidia looks like a trend reversal long. Not as, I don't want to say not as good as, because ultimately I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what would happen if IBIT were to break this trend, but I like the more extreme move down into what is support on the daily for IBIT at 69,000 or Bitcoin at 69,000, and then a trend reversal. It's just more powerful. It's got more room to VWAP. Like if it breaks out here, VWAP is a 1.5% away. That's like 1.5 points that you can get on a reversion here. Whereas Nvidia, don't get me wrong, Nvidia is strong. It holds above VWAP. You could probably get a trend reversal similar there, like 10s to 15s, and you're looking at like 80 to 90 cents off the highs. That's not bad. It's just half the move of what the reversion would give you on IBIT, and you don't have that 69,000 or big support level to also give you some confluence on the trade. So I'm not really taking Nvidia. I would much rather IBIT make this move, and then you get like one shot in here. Like take that one trade where you just get it in good and, risk about, you're probably risking at this point, if it were to break, I'd probably risk down to here. So you're talking 15 cents, and then you got 60 pennies to the upside to VWAP, of which if you're scalping along the way, your average out is probably in the 75 to 80 range. That works out to 2 to 1. And if it breaks VWAP and holds over, heck, you do even better than that. So I got to have them both up here, but certainly I'd rather IBIT make that move. It's looking like it is unlikely here. Andrew?
Yes, just a reminder for everyone, in the after-hours show or towards the end of the day, since this is my last day here, so sad, I am actually going to be giving out a big giveaway prize for all those traders that stay late. So in Sean's memory, of course, he normally leads these, he is not going to be here. But in his memory, I'm going to give a lot of money away. So be there, make sure you guys are there. That's all I got to say.
Has been teed up. You're going to want to stick around. Oh, the other thing, don't just stick around for, obviously, stick around and get some free cash from Andrew, but also stick around because we'll be able to do some Q&A. We're going to have Chris Brecher on. He was going to be on Wednesday, and we're moving him to today. So we're able to still have Chris and get his insights for a bit. We'll do some trader talk. But there's no earnings aftermarket, so we can just get right down to brass tacks. We can review some trades. We can go over what to prepare for next week. We can go over any ideas or questions that you guys might have. And then, of course, we'll get that prize out in there somewhere toward the end of the show. So make sure you stick around. The traders are going to stay late tonight. That's for sure. So we'll have a lot of fun with it. Mohammed in the chat said, what is SMCI's fate? First, before I go to SMCI, we already showed going into VWAP, Nvidia, and then AMD back underneath that resistance. I did get that reload fill, still stopping if it breaks that high, and I have a 50 bid in case we grab it. So just wanted to make sure I updated you guys on that fill. SMCI is bleed zone. Bleeding, and it just made another press down. I want to show a 15-minute chart because I think it's a little more dramatic if I do. No, but that was on volume, that last push. So it's another day, another reckoning for SMCI. My take on this is, and someone was asking me the other day, yeah, it is that bad, Fabian. It really is. So someone had asked, is it a good idea to swing on this? And my thought was the risk, I think it was Mr. Westermeyer.
Swing short?
No, long.
Oh.
And the thing is, the risk here is tremendous. Like they're talking about delisting as a possible outcome here.
trade is
So you've got to think about what your risk to reward is. I understand on the chart it looks like, but if it bottoms here, we're great. I don't know, no, because your downside risk is losing everything on SMCI. So it would have to break trend. Maybe you can find a scalp trade for some kind of a long if you wanted it, but this is a short till proven otherwise. Maybe it'll break a trend and you can do some kind of a SSR bounce play. Like, I don't mind those. Like, if you get like from VWAP into here and you do one of those, which it already tried and failed. Like, look at that. Tried to break trend, instant failure. I guess if it can hold above back through 26, you try another one into VWAP, and that's an SSR bounce play. But you're getting in, you're getting out in a matter of minutes, which is the only way I'd want to play SMCI long, getting in and out within a matter of minutes. Adara.
This part of the show is brought to you by Firefly Neuroscience. Firefly Neuroscience has taken a bold step in advancing brain health technology. In collaboration with Bright Minds Biosciences, Firefly's innovative AI-powered platform has successfully analyzed data from a groundbreaking phase 1 clinical trial using advanced EEG technology to track brain activity. This data unlocks new potential in treating neurological and mental disorders, reinforcing Firefly's position at the forefront of brain health innovation. As they prepare for phase 2, this partnership signals exciting developments for the future of neuropsychiatric treatments. Firefly Neuroscience, shaping the future of brain health.
Shout out to Firefly. Thank you very much there, Adara. And failing VWAP is Nvidia, so kind of glad we didn't get into that long. But IBIT, IBIT is not going to bounce. It doesn't look like Bitcoin wants to make that bounce. Why? Because what you want to happen doesn't always happen. So this is, okay, I'm still keeping it up because I like this reversion play. But if we don't get it soon, it's now 316. If this next bounce can't take us to break out this trend, then at some point I have to give up on it. There has to be enough time for it to get there. And if it doesn't make the move until like 339 or something like that, then probably not going to take that trade. So there's still some time in here. VSTE, it didn't feel right. The way that lit grab happened and didn't immediately bounce back, strong stock, rinses people or gets people out like on tight stops and then starts going again. It doesn't do that and then go sideways, so we got away from it. I didn't pay for locate, so I couldn't short it if I wanted to. So now you're back underneath VWAP, but I think getting away from that made a lot of sense. Take profit and then just get out when it broke out for the tight stop. So unfortunately, VSTE, my plan was for it to hold this. It did not. Maybe it's worth it a little bit late in the day to look for a short, but if it were to break 5, I could see this flooding back in. I'm going to at least check what they cost. If it's essentially free, I'll pay for locates, but my guess is it's not.
Yeah, no, we're kind of doing some interesting stuff here on Intel. A bit of a sideways consolidation here going into, again, it's 317, Neil, so we have less than about 42, 43 minutes left until the closing bell. A little bit of a sideways chop here on Intel going into the close after kind of grabbing the day high there. So you're just watching this one as, again, the market is rejecting off of that 20,200 mark here on the NASDAQ. And a bit of a, again, we've been trending down after that strong bid in the morning here, looking kind of similar to some of those crypto charts, some of the Bitcoin charts as well. That turn coming in and around that was at that 10:30, 11:30-ish mark here on the markets. Peloton not really bouncing, man. I was looking for this push to come back in with, again, 45 minutes left. Roughly, I'm not really looking for too much. We talk about the 30-minute candle here, yeah, no real bounce. We did print the first green 30-minute candle here at 2:30, but there's no real follow through. This candle has about 10 minutes left to print on Peloton. So I know that some people in the chat were talking about how they've been trading Peloton today. Congratulations to you. Hopefully you were short off of the opening session there, as Peloton has been trading lower and lower and only about 10 pennies away from its day low as of right now, as the market kind of attempts to make a lower high here once more after printing the day high, like I said before, in and around 11:30 there. Nothing else too crazy. Again, people were talking about that Coinbase, so I did have it on watch. Coinbase not really doing too much, bouncing off of that 180, like we pointed out before. That 180 maybe a little interesting nonetheless. Nvidia as well. We just talked about this. It's back at VWAP. Bit of a trend break there, but again, VWAP's right there, so I don't know how strong that trend really matters more than VWAP. As of right now, you can see that VWAP hold was doing really well all morning long until it didn't in and around 12:30, 12:45 there. We've been trading underneath for most of that time since on Nvidia here. But like we said before, bit of an inside day nonetheless on a lot of these tickers as the market, again, trades sideways. I think somebody in the chat was asking me if I was this. I think they mentioned like this vampire Digimon yesterday when we dressed up. I was like, no, I was just a regular vampire. But I do apologize. I might have sucked all the volatility out of the market. We're not really that volatile today. Pretty much trading sideways in a range.
What is a vampire Digimon?
Oh, I just searched it up. I don't know. It's like it's like a Digimon that's a vampire. I don't know. I watched like the first season of Digimon growing up. Never really went back to it after. So.
You presume, see, it's like you said that in the way that presumed that I even knew what a Digimon was, which is nice of you to think that. But I mean, anybody that's been watching the show long enough knows that I have no idea what that is, which is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, I could. So Ramin just told me that Fabian said that it's a digital monster. Now I could obviously figure out that it's a digital monster, but there's a reference. Like I don't know the game or the show.
Right here.
Also,
Myotis. On.
Can we go to the screen?
Right here. So that, I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I wasn't necessarily specifically this guy, but I don't know. Vampire.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I watch, I'll watch some cartoons in my day, but that one I'm not aware of. It is what it is.
You ever watch Pokemon?
Nah, not really.
Oh, really?
No. It's not my
that was still, that was around, definitely around your time as well. No? Before.
You know what? That's my dog. That's what I'm talking about. First of all, you know it's not around my time. I grew. No, I'm not even going there. You don't want to know the Saturday morning cartoons that I watch, because if you knew the Saturday morning cartoons that I watch, you'd know exactly how old I am. So it's very cool of you to say that. So back underneath VWAP is AMD, as I quietly changed the subject before anyone starts asking about that. So we're back underneath VWAP. I didn't really get another fill here at the 70 level. So I got one. I tried to add to it when it rejected right underneath 80s. So no fill there. We just grabbed some in front of the 50 level. Gonna look for the quarters to see if we can get it. Sebastian, you're probably right. Saad, I did watch Dragon Ball Z, mostly because my brother told me that I had to. My brother's an animator, and his standard, he's a brilliant artist. He's absolutely brilliant, by the way. He does kid shows. And so if he says an animated series is really good, and he's like, yo, you want to watch that? Then I'll listen to him, because he's never once said this is good and it's been bad. Like, not once. He's like, yeah, watch Dragon Ball. It'll be fun. Yeah, that's a good one there. Sebastian, I don't know if you're my age. I have no idea. Richard Cabiza, is it Cabiza? That's a good one. I like this one. Neil's fishing trip was spoiled by Moses. That's pretty good. That's really good.
That's a good one.
I can't even hate on that. That's really freaking good. Yeah.
You guys are on fire in the chat.
I love it. You guys are awesome.
On fire. Oh boy.
See, now I forget what I was gonna say next. So I mentioned.
That's too funny.
Okay, so I already went over AMD. IBIT does not want to make the break. I'm staring down this IBIT trend reversal because I feel like win, lose, or draw, like this one, if you've held trend for essentially the entirety of the day, then a reversion here looks pretty good. And the other thing too with IBIT, it's not like you're bouncing off nothing. Let me go back over to my Bitcoin chart here. Let's just show you look what you've just done. Like, you've just essentially broken 69, right? Like, this is the reversion we're looking for. You're breaking 69,000, then holding back above it and doing a late little bounce play. Like, I love that. So it's kind of like a little bit of a grab underneath support, and you're coming back up. So I think this is worth it to try and wait for this reversion to happen on IBIT. So give me that close above 40. Once it happens, I actually thought it was 40 before. Now would be somewhere in the 35 range. Once it does that, go for the long. We are running out of time for it to happen, but I think it's worth it. So I'll keep scalping AMD and getting 20, 30 cents or whatever we can out of it, and then look for the opportunity here in IBIT on that reversion. I do like this setup, so it's going to be worth it. You guys have more? What else you got going on? All right, Kyle W. Neil's favorite cartoon was Wonder Dog. Here I am to come save the day. You know what? I really liked. This is gonna sound ridiculous. I love Rocket Robin Hood. That should probably date me because you'll have no idea. Rocket Robin Hood was kind of the jam. Good. It was a good cartoon, man.
I remember it was I think after school we would always run back to watch Dragon Ball Z. Right after school, that was definitely a vibe.
Legit.
And then I think it was Sunday morning or Saturday morning. I'm forgetting which one specifically, but Cartoon Network in the mornings on Sundays. And I heard that Fabian calling out to Courage the Cowardly Dog. That was a fun show for sure. That I grew up on that, and people were talking about Scooby-Doo.
I know that one.
Samurai Jack, that was sick, but that didn't really come on until like Adult Swim later on. Because I love how because you know how you're not supposed to show like blood and gore, and they got around that by making all the villains robots, and it would be like oil splatter.
That was smart.
That was very smart. It was a great show.
Because in G.I. Joe, like nobody, I mean, it was crazy about like G.I. Joe, like. You grew up on that show. You watch it every single time, like a Cobra ship or helicopter plane. Every single time they got shot down, instant parachute open. Every single time, like not once. Like really, 100% success rate when you shoot down Cobra. That parachute's open, like just boom, boom, boom. Why? Because you couldn't actually have anybody presumed to be not even show them die. You couldn't even have the idea that it even happened. Which is wild. And absolutely, yes, someone in the chat said, I'm a Voltron guy. I loved Voltron. That was a great show. Apple just lost VWAP. The market just made a lower high. Intel's still doing the same thing, right?
Intel's still kind of chopping.
But the NASDAQ here, I'm staring down, IBIT's getting close. If you look here, even the Qs here, they just got right into what would be another lower high on trend, actually underneath trend, and then rejected 2020. I feel like if you are rejecting underneath, we could get that pullback. So I like AMD still, as long as that's going to hold. But IBIT wants to make this move, so I'm trying to be really patient about this. It just doesn't seem to have the strength to make that break. But a lot of times when you get a long trend reversal, like it'll break up here, and then it's fast. Like it could be a quick one, so I don't want to get away from this. Here, BLK Empress, Brave Star was fantastic. Eyes of the hawk, ears of the wolf, strength of the bear, speed like the cheetah. I did watch Brave Star when I was a kid. 100%.
Oh yeah. What about Thundercats? I mean, I think I remember Thundercats like showing it would show up, but I never really was interested in. I know He-Man was there as well. Again, another classic there. But some good. I guess, weekend primetime TV there that I kind of lived through. So got to get out of that one.
Get down.
All right, cool. Intel kind of broke that consolidation there as of right now, so I don't really want to get involved anymore. Not really doing what I'm looking for there. Just kind of getting chopped up in the range. Not really any sort of. I guess solid trade there. Nothing. It's holding this consolidation. We kind of grabbed that anchored earlier there. That's a real print. That's not a dark pool wick there. It actually went down to 2310s and then ripped right back up to 20s after grabbing the high as well, which was again that was a nice quick little grab, but no real follow through, and now we're kind of churning, and we're churning above VWAP as well. So I want to keep that, in mind here as we just chop and churn. There goes Amazon with a bit of a sell. Look at that aggressive selling coming in on Amazon. So let's see what's going on here. Is anything else selling off that aggressively? Nothing too crazy, but oh boy, here it comes. 198s. You can see the NASDAQ as well. Failure to follow through past 20,200 is what it's looking like right now. We couldn't really get past that level, I guess, in the last 15-minute candle, and we are dumping to the downside. So glad I got out of some of those longs. What's going on, Adara?
We're going to take a look here at some of these names in the S&P 500 making outsized moves to the upside and downside. The theme for today is going to be some things that, as we have this last half hour of Power Hour, last half hour of this market week, what are the potential stories that could be on watch next week? I started here with Lululemon, which is up 8% here, despite a lack of any catalyst that I could find. LU with just over a 5% short float, up 8%. Near day's high, still trying to break out here into that 322 area. So LU could be on watch if we see a continuation of this move, a story come out, or a potential flush. Next up, we have Boeing. BA, to be fair, has been on watch this entire year, but actually seeing some progression here. It's been a pretty big day for them with another potential deal to end that strike. The vote's going to be on Monday. If that is actually successful, people could be returning to work as soon as Wednesday, and that could be key because BA was actually attributed for some of that drop here, that much lower than expected non-farm payroll number due to the strike. We also had S&P actually affirming its rating for Boeing, though it did say Boeing's still going to be on credit watch for them. And last but not least, we have Supermicro, SMCI, SSR for the third day in a row here, I believe. This stock down 44% this week, apparently entirely wiping out its gains throughout this whole year. So Supermicro Computer to the downside. We'll have to see if this bounces next week and what news we get on their earnings, which have been confirmed to be reported after the close on Tuesday, guys.
I mean, they better report them, otherwise they're toast. So, I mean, here's the I promise you this. There is going to be a Netflix special one day about SMCI one way or another. And on top of that, we have young viewers for sure, you're going to be doing projects on it. Like whether you're going to be doing case studies on SMCI, or, you know what, my senior year accounting project, you had to basically do you had to pick some random company, any company you wanted, go through the books. We had a long project. Mine was Briex. I don't know if you remember Briex. Briex was like a famous, it wasn't anything along the lines of like Enron, but it was a famous scandal. And no, I did not see it coming. I was a high school student. No, SMCI is an absolute mess. And so everyone be very careful when you're trading that. I think it's great for trading. I think you've got to be picking your spots, trying to get that one on the long side, or you're risking a heck of a lot. We're going to continue to trade it. Just a quick update here. Obviously, we show the market is flushing. I'm going to cancel my reload option because I won't get any more of AMD. We try to grab more on the way down here, but I'm looking now consolidation. I was going to get out in front of the bid. But now if it breaks this consolidation higher, then it's a nice, easy trail out, hold for the low. So hold for this higher low, I should say, 141.80, and then we'll trail out, and I've already put the trail in at the quarter mark. It is past 330, so worth a look here at the early look imbalance locator. Keep in mind, yesterday was, of course, last of the month, so it's the beginning of the month. You might see a few names in there with bigger imbalances than normal. Right now, just Occidental for 1 million shares to the buy side. That's about the only thing that stands out. BIL and Amex doesn't really matter. You see nothing else that's large. So right now, the only thing is an early look 1 million buy imbalance on Oxy, which is taking it on the chin today. Sometimes that can be interesting. Get a buy imbalance on a stock which has been bleeding the whole day. It might give you a little bit of a chance at a bounce play if this actually ends up being a buy when it comes out in about 16 or so minutes. DVDRDs, like who's swinging SMCI? I feel like if I say it's a lot of risk enough, people will just start doing it for reasons unknown. 11% down and still going on SMCI. But I just want AMD to get to the low of the day. That's enough for me.
Yeah, that's that report was crazy. Again, shout out to Wayne. He showed me the I guess the letter that the accounting firm sent to the SEC.
Yeah.
And we were just having a laugh about that. And again, whoever was fastest to that news, oh boy, do you have some of the best fills there in terms of price on that SMCI flush. Basically, they were just like, yeah, you guys are definitely right. They are a little fraudulent. there on their books. So should be interesting. SMCI kind of a continuation to the downside. And you were pointing out Hood, Neil, and Hood has broken that day high at that 2.4 as the market kind of flushed into the lows there. So some distinctly different action on Robinhood. Again, earnings day 2 today. It's held its VWAP. It's held higher highs and higher lows, and now kind of breaking out of this this top that we had pointed out in the pre-market and during the midday in the morning session as well. A bit of a double top there intraday, breaking out through that 24 mark. But I guess a much better place to get in here was on the break back through of day 1 lows there, as again we're pushing back towards the day highs, kind of sideways for most of the day, but now breaking out going into the last half hour. Neil, we only have 25 minutes left, man. So it's been a pretty I would say pretty uneventful day in terms of anything too crazy. Now I'm sure I'm not really looking at the whole market here. I'm sure there have been trades where, again, significant moves, but the market's pretty much chop sideways as of right now. Nothing too crazy. Again, we talk about some of the directional tickers that were pointed out on the day today. We can kind of cover some of those as well as of right now. Again, we talk about Peloton. Last we talked about it, the low was 25s. Now the low is 22. So we pretty much traded sideways there. No, the trend has broken, but there's no reversion. There's just trends going sideways. So maybe just some trend deceleration before we make further legs to the downside. Who knows? But that aggressive selling all day long is definitely distinct here on Peloton. And the other name was Lulu here. Lulu pushing up towards its day highs there as well. Pretty much an all-day trend here on Lulu. Again, holding a bit of a resistance here. Yeah, sure, it's broken trend a little bit, but not really reverted as it kind of consolidates and goes sideways going into the close. Again, less than 25 minutes left now here on the day. So two of those names. Let us know in the chat if you guys see anything that is just as directional as some of those names. Again, of course, why I brought this up was SMCI. Of course, SMCI very directional to the downside. What's going on?
If you're looking for directional trades, what you're going to want to have available to you is a powerful platform which will allow you to scan for the best ideas out there in the market so that you can trade smarter, not harder. You want to upgrade to an elite trading experience, and eSignal is going to be for you. It's all about real-time data that is easy to use with all kinds of customization. You can look at any symbol you want. You can look at any indicator you want. You can backtest on any time frame that you want. And you're going to find that when you have that behind you, you're going to be able to start implementing trading strategies with more confidence. Why? Because if you have reliable data and you have reliable backtesting, then you know ahead of time that the ideas that you're processing are going to give you quality results before you put any trades on at all. We talked about this for the lesson of the day, that you want to put capital towards things that work. So you might as well find a platform that allows you to test your strategies out in a robust way and allows you to go forward and become a more professional trader. So great backtesting, great scanning so that you can locate the best things to trade in the first place, and it's everything you need all in one place. So check out the eSignal platform. They have a test drive, 30 days free. Scan the QR code below, or more importantly, hit the link in the description for that. Speaking of which, I knew it would happen fast, and it did.
Oh boy.
So I actually missed my entry by 5 cents on IBIT because this was it closing, prior bar close above the trend line, and that's me trying to hit 33 when it broke. No fill. And then I chased it up to like 38, I should say, at 5 cents into 38. But this is what happens when you get a trend break like this. Like, it can start to accelerate. Why? Because pretty much, am I the only person capable of drawing a trend line like this or noticing that Bitcoin was bouncing off of that 69,000 level? No, obviously not. I mean, anybody else can do it. So you want to be fast. The algos get it a little bit faster as well. Stop underneath prior bar open as usual because it's a pretty standard trade for me. That ends up, I think it's like 28 actually. So yeah, now you know exactly where the stop is going to be. Let's see if this can actually go. It's 339. which means I might have to quickly tighten this up. I don't need my 33-bit anymore. I might have to tighten this one up. It's later in the day, and of course, we can't hold this one over the weekend to go. So just double checking to see if there's any change in the imbalances. Absolutely not, still just Oxy. But I'm now in on that trend break of IBIT, but there isn't as much time for it to resolve. And AMD is now consolidating, holding on a dime 142. So it's holding on to 142 pretty much on a dime. I was looking for a break of that level to play down into the next quarter. Not happening, so I'm just going to trail out. If it cannot hold this consolidation and break lower, I'm jumping out of this as the market's not really doing enough to warrant holding for the moon. So it's a couple of cents away, and we'll just try to ring the register on that one if it breaks the quarters. Still in it, is what it is, but oh, there we go. It just broke that consolidation, so we're out of AMD. You got to ring the register somewhere. Ultimately, a couple times in the afternoon off of VWAP, it's going to play down for us, which is what we wanted. And yeah, we're in that IBIT, and this is the kind of trade. You know what's hilarious about this? You know, this trade usually I find is much better if you get it at like not in power hour. Like if you get it at like 230 to 240, like somewhere in that, like before power hour when like volume's starting to come back in. When you get it really late, there's not enough time for it to go. It's almost like you want it as more interest is coming in so people can pile into the trade instead of at 340. But I took it because we're waiting for it, and I think it's a great looking setup. I'm going to have these pretty much 10 times out of 10. Whether or not it's actually going to go for us, we'll see. We haven't even closed the second bar, and it's not really going anywhere for now. Chill vibes. You ready for them Bills this Sunday? Of course I'm ready for the Bills. I'm ready for the Bills every single weekend, despite the fact that I have a couple of Miami Dolphins on my fantasy squad. That's okay, because they're receivers. And that means when the Bills blow out Miami, there's going to be a lot of garbage time points for my receivers. So I just win both ways. When the Bills blow out Miami, I win. And when Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle score a bunch of points in garbage time, I'm going to win that way too. Because the Bills are going to the Super Bowl, and I say that every single year. That's how I roll. So AMD, we trailed out of, had to ring the register somewhere, broke that trend on IBIT, so we're into that long. I did want to double check on Tesla because I feel like we've been ignoring the old Cybertruck. It never came to 250, never happened. 250 was the level. Good bottom being made on Tesla. But when you look at this higher time frame, you know, you close underneath 250. I don't care how much this thing is bounced. You are now underneath, I should say on the 15-minute, you can see this a little better. You are underneath that first support level from the earnings breakout, right? Like you're right into that channel, so you're underneath the breakdown. So you're still falling post that earnings high. So great that it caught a little bit of a bid, but the downward trend since we made that run at 270 is still very much intact on Tesla, and there hasn't been a reversal. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but one step is clear 250, second step, hold, and then break out 255. Is that going to happen next week? I hope so, because I would love to have that long, but you never know, Obi.
Yeah. I mean, when did that reversion on IBIT start happening? Just like within the past 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, right?
Yeah, but I don't like it. It's not going right away.
Take a look at this. This is a riot. So I looked at a lot of the other tickers. No one else is doing this. Mara is not doing this. MSTR is not doing this. IBIT is not doing this. This thing technically it broke trend around 230, but then even more aggressively, if you're measuring off of the highs we made in the morning session, we broke that trend with expanding volume coming into power hour and coming into that last hour. So the hour open right here on Riot, the 3 o'clock hour open, you can see that aggressive buying come in and that continuation going into well past the last half hour or into the last half hour here for a reversion to VWAP. So again, it's interesting. Look at this. Again, Neil just showed you guys IBIT. Mara not doing that. It has not reverted. Mara actually is trading even lower. So Mara's about to break day lows on that move. So interesting move there on Riot. MSTR as well. Look at that. Where's the reversion? Not here. IBIT. Where's the reversion?
Not here.
Not here. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, BTC, USD. Where is the reversion? Not there. So something interesting definitely happening there on Riot. Again, with that volume coming in the last half hour, technically still trading below VWAP, technically still making a downtrend if you're counting some of these lower highs there, and that VWAP hold as well. But that reversion coming in quite nice, well before that 3 o'clock mark here on Riot. So interesting stuff. What's going on, Andrew?
No, we were joking with media how we were going to make thumbnails with outrageous faces. Anyway, so what I'm looking at right now, guys, software. This was the ADBE, Adobe, and this was the market maker cycle, this structure we talked about earlier in the show if you were here for midday, but you guys can screenshot this. This is a structure that we've kind of pioneered, and we've going forward. It's kind of an updated Wyckoff. But other than that, this one right here, with a strong close today, really, it is holding at the highs. I'm debating whether I swing this over the weekend into the final minutes. I don't think I will. I think it's safer in this market condition since we are at the low still in the overall markets, even though the seasonality is overwhelmingly positive next week, to wait for a gap up and then long any gap ups here. So if you guys are following along with this trade, any gap up above here, I will set that as a trigger to long 11-8 calls. So again, November 8th, that's next Friday. Another thing I want to review is just quickly the sector performance. So as far as the rotations today, specifically today, off of the low, what have we seen really win? Well, we haven't seen really, a lot of these kind of defensive names were a little bit slumped. They had that real big bounce later in the day, and so that's kind of what we're playing with Boeing, et cetera, et cetera. But you'll see semiconductors and even biotech up here really holding the markets well. And that's going to be interesting because if we do bounce next week, this biotech, XBI, this one is probably going to have a nice ruler breakout and just rip above this 99.5 into that $100 level. So this is another name I'm watching. Again, gap fill or gap ups, anything any gap up on the market is going to invalidate this resistance zone, turn it into support. You guys know the drill, long above that. But other than that, again, we talked about semiconductors. It's super, super important to know the leaders, keep playing the leaders, those being Nvidia. We talked about this last week. I liked Nvidia more, as well as AVGO. These are really one of the only two green semiconductors today. So just keeping that in mind for next week.
You can absolutely say that again. I'm going to give you another. I mean, obviously, I like the look on Adobe, but there was something else that happened on Adobe which makes it look interesting as well. Because in the middle of the day, and this is, maybe I'll zoom it out a little bit when we come to the chart. So yesterday, 481 area resistance. You can clearly see it as day. Like, obviously, there's some selling in there. Then you throw up a 15-minute chart. Like, what do you see? 481 support, resistance. So obviously you want to look for support to turn into resistance. Okay, well, what happened in the middle of the day? There was a dip, and see that volume spike? There was a dip on a news report that took Adobe down right into VWAP and that 481 support. So the reaction to a slightly negative news piece was for it to reaffirm that support area, then hold it as the market's under VWAP, and then show relative strength. So not only does it look good for Andrew on a higher time frame, but it also reaffirmed that there's some buyers latent in here at that 481 level of support, which can certainly help you. And now I'll go through over to IBIT. And what's hilarious about it is, like, I knew this was going to not work the second you showed me that, because so Obi went to Riot, he went to Coinbase. Went to, I mean, MSTR, CleanSpark,
MSTR,
everything in
Bitcoin,
the crypto space. And the key was, it was, you said, the volume.
Yeah.
The volume, so it's a day-long trend break. I mean, it's a gorgeous looking setup. Now, no setup's going to work 10 times out of 10. Like, you're happy if it works 7 times out of 10 and you're disciplined. Then you'll be fine. Like, have a stop and get out. So come to the chart here. What do you not see when we broke trend? What you do not see is increasing volume. So yeah, we get increased volume on the entry break, but then right after that, immediately declining volume. There is no continuation. That definitely justifies having a tight stop on it. Obviously, there was room to go, but that doesn't mean it's going to work. Sometimes you make a mean revert trade and it's fantastic. Other times it just decides it's not going to do anything. Although
you should pull up the Riot chart and see how that looks, how the volume bar looks.
Yeah, let's go to
distinctly different.
Yeah, let's go to Riot so that you guys can sort of see the difference. Like, when Riot breaks its trend line, I don't have to draw it for you, but it definitely has a massive volume spike. But then even look at the moment when BTC was making its turn, and this consolidation break just now happened on Riot, it's still increasing and holding its volume so that you get a move into VWAP. At least it's holding volume. But Riot, I'm not going to sit here and try to explain why Riot caught that kind of a bid, which was better than everything else. Could just be because it had pulled back 20% in the last couple of days, right? So Riot had reported and gotten dumped, so maybe it's because it was so much further down. That's just a guess. But who knows? I don't know for sure. We have 30 seconds till the imbalances come out. So I doubt that I'm taking anything else unless something happens crazy with these imbalances. Be sure, don't forget, we're going to have Andrew Rader with us on the aftermarket show. So you have questions for Andrew, options questions, anything else out there. How fast he drives his Mustang on the weekends, if you want to ask that too. Obviously really safely.
And I'm giving away $500 Canadian.
We now have a number.
Let's go.
To one lucky winner.
One. So make that be you. Make sure you tune into the aftermarket show. We're going to have a lot of fun. We've had a blast having Andrew on. We're going to have even more. Okay, so imbalances. Intel, 4 million to the sell side. TLT, 5 million to the buy side. Pfizer, 5 million, 3.5 million to buy. Nvidia, 2 million sell. Amazon, 1 million sell. Apple, 1 million sell. I guess we're overall going to be sells because that's pretty hefty to the sell side, with Intel being the largest. They're all sell imbalances from the big tech names that I can see in here, led mostly by that Intel 4 million, Nvidia 2 million, Amazon and Apple 1 million each. When that happened, Intel's a cheap stock, so 4 million shares on Intel is not more than 1 million shares on any of those three names that I mentioned. Clearly, those are bigger net or notional imbalances than Intel's, but that's still a pretty hefty number. It's done 150 million in volume. Very slight spike to the downside on that. Nvidia probably barely even batted. No, Nvidia did move. That was a decent move on Nvidia. Not one you want to chase because it's only a couple million shares. If that's 5 million shares, maybe you get some continuation, but a couple of million shares on Nvidia is not a lot. It's done 171, and again, it is up 2% and the strongest, relatively speaking, of these chip names.
Yeah, I'm not really saying anything too crazy here. Yesterday, I think Pfizer was definitely interesting here on the NYSE. You can see it's coming out as a 3.5 buy, but I'm looking at it. It's not really doing anything too crazy as of right now. Still continues to sell off into the close. So more of the same of what it did yesterday going into the close. You can see that aggressive selling coming in end of the day, and it seems like more of the same as of right now here on Pfizer. That's selling. Let's see what time did it kind of begin there. Your aggressive selling bar right at 321, so a little bit before those imbalances come out. But yeah, no, Neil, I'm looking at Intel as well because we were just involved with Intel. Intel with almost a 4 million sell imbalance here coming in, getting flushed down to that 23, Neil. Oh boy. So that initial idea, I got to hold on to that one until it actually breaks that high. My stop was up here in the 60s, but I was like, I'm going to be a little bit more nimble and try to get in and around this one. I did add a little bit there for the continuation, but the add was a little too aggressive, and I stopped out for pretty much break even as it comes all the way back down to the 23. Tens as of right now. We talk about that anchored VWAP being in and around this area. It's coming in right into that anchored VWAP coming into the close off of a 4 million sell imbalance. So interesting action nonetheless. A little bit of market tailwind as well as the market's flush to the downside here, hovering just above that 20,100 mark, trading at 20,130s as of right now. Chill Vibes asking, can you check Carvana? Quick opinion. Well, all right, we can take a look at the chart. I don't know if my opinion is of any value, but we can take a look at the chart and see how this Carvana is doing as of right now. So, oh boy, I just saw the market kind of do another leg flush there right before I did that full screen. All right, anyways, Carvana. Let's see what our friend Vanna has been up to. We know that they had earnings just prior day right there, and coming into today. Right here, you can see the low of day yesterday has been broken, but much later into the session here. But it seems like VWAP has held heavy since the open. You can see that aggressive selling, that back-to-back. Look at those back-to-back 3-minute candles, back-to-back selling with sustained volume until it gets what is this right here? I think it gets about 235, 236s for a bit of a bounce and attempt to hold VWAP, but can't really hold VWAP. Earnings day 2 breaks back down below day one lows and trading even lower, printing day lows as well going into the close here on a Friday, earnings day 2 on Carvana. So again, just reading out what the chart has been doing over the past couple of days. Nothing too crazy, still well within this this range that the earnings reaction gave us here. So we didn't really break out. False break was nice yesterday, oh boy, but it came in much later in the day. So I don't know what those are really like, false breaks of reaction highs coming in, going into the mid to late day session, but seems like that one really worked out in the end there yesterday on day 1. We're getting that continuation of that selling coming in on day 2 as well on Carvana.
I, for one, am shocked that Carvana would give back anything after the earnings. I think it's mind-boggling to me that a stock like I'm not going to finish that thought. No, it doesn't. It shouldn't necessarily surprise anybody, because ultimately, when the chart looks like this, and it's been detached from fundamentals for quite some time, that when you get that exuberance, if you're not going to continue the squeeze, if we don't get continuation, you saw it. There were good long opportunities yesterday. A couple of scalp trades you could have had in there, and you could have held on to some. But when you did not hold the high, and when you did not hold the prior close at 250. When you did not hold prior support, when you lost the last level of support on the day after earnings, like it's every single point at which you need to catch a bid, it lost the bid, and now the gap fill is ensuing on Carvana. 355 just hit, so very quickly before I get up to the desk to get ready for the market recap show, where Andrew Rader's going to give away $500 to a lucky viewer. And we're going to have Chris Brecher, and we're going to have Adara, and we're going to have a blast, and we're going to do your Q&A. Nvidia and the other imbalances all flipped. So Nvidia caught a little bit of a bid there. No, they're all gone. Yeah. So all of those sell imbalances, they all flipped or are gone. Pfizer, 3.6 million to buy, but that was the bounce you just saw. There's the reason we talk about that at 355. Oftentimes you'll see them flip. Intel managed to stay a sell of 800,000, although it was like 3.5 million before. It looks to me like Pfizer would be the significant one. Not that I'm going to take any trades. Well, I guess that makes sense. Pfizer with a buy imbalance, as it's absolutely tanking, down 1%. I guess that's not really tanking, but at a support level on the daily at the 200 period and downtrend. So someone is either covering some shorts big, or maybe taking a shot to buy a little bit of a dip in Pfizer. You saw 3.6 million shares, but there's only 3 minutes to go. I'm going to, as Sharif would say, weasel my way over to the desk. Why, you have a problem? You don't like that?
No.
I can't weasel my way over to the desk?
What does that even mean?
I'm going to limp my way over to the desk because I 100%.
You're going to walk.
I took things a little bit too far. When it came to trick or treating with my daughter last night, we were out way too long, and I definitely did too much walking, and my foot is it's not terrible, but I definitely overdid it a bit. So I'm going to limp on over to the desk, and we're going to have a fun aftermarket show where Raider is going to give away some straight cash, homie.
Let's go.
So I'll see you guys in a couple minutes.
All right, great show, Neil. Thank you. Again, thank you to Neil for again dropping that Neilage all day for us here. Again, some solid trades there. We attempted to push that 200 on Amazon here much earlier on in the day. Let me just pull it up here, blow up this chart a little bit, scroll past those wicks so we can get a little bit of better perspective here. This is a 3-minute chart on my screen. So you can see I tried that initial push of that 200. It doesn't really come in. Sure, I gave it a pretty wide stop there as it comes right back in again with an order to get even bigger off of the actual break, which did fill here. But then once that comes in, a nice little hold of that anchored VWAP. That 197 comes in beautifully right there off of that opening flush there. And then that bid attempts to catch. We do kind of have a wide range as we attempt to push into that 200. But oh boy, Bezos is still sitting up there apparently, or whatever it is. There is a seller at 200, an unusual seller, level hold, whatever you want to call it. And every time it's gone up there, I guess, Neil, definitely right on that one. The trade has been short until it's not, past that 200, until that seller lifts. And you can see all day long, it just keeps on giving you the short off of the 200 with a pretty decent risk. Again, that initial pop gave you 50s off of the push there, and then slams right back in. So that back through, if you're getting short on this kind of price action here, and even here with that lower high wick for that push to the downside, oh boy, that was definitely a solid trade there. But the bids showing up at that 197 area was interesting once again, coming into the mid to later half of the day here on Amazon. So that was kind of the story on Amazon. Didn't really get that 200 break just yet. So maybe next week is what we're poised for on that Amazon break. With only about 30 seconds left until this bell rings, I want to thank you guys for spending your time here with us. Here is Brankles. What's going on, Brankles? He's already got the drinks cracking. We got poker night here on the floor tonight. So okay, with the 15 seconds, there we go. He's ranging. He's in a range just like the market was today. With only 10 seconds left to go, Brankles, the volatility is gone. He is in a range and he's just sipping on that. What are you drinking there? 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you, Adara and Andrew, for the bell there. Now, thank you guys for spending time with us once again. Stick around for that market recap because Andrew's got a free cash giveaway for you guys there. You guys have time to ask him questions and everything. Now, thank you again for being here for a good chunk of the week, Andrew, and showering us with all that options knowledge there all week. So shout out to Andrew for that one. Raider Trader is his name, and definitely rating these markets he is. I like that costume from yesterday, bro. That was pretty solid. But without any further ado, if they're ready for us at the big desk, are you guys ready? So I will send it off to you guys. I will see you guys very, very soon. Have a good one. Have a good weekend. Take care.
Right at the last second there, welcome everybody. Ramin's like, Neil, look up. Oh, it's fine. We got the dream team here today. Just a reminder to everybody, there's no earnings bonanza on a Friday, but there is the Andrew Raider.
Someone's earning something. So $500 giveaway in the after hour show. So you guys, we'll give you more details. So we'll just kind of like edge you guys along until you reach the end of the cliff, and then.
Why you gotta? It doesn't have to be a cliff. This is more like, it's not a cliff. It's like the prize at the end. It's like the end of the rainbow. It's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That's right. Yep.
There you go. So we'll go over some of what happened with the market. We're still going to have Chris Retcher on. We'll get him on in 10, 15 minutes or so. Get a little trader talk like we always do. But hey, let's try to recap what happened here, not just on the day, but this week. It was a wild earnings week here.
Yes,
I mean, obviously, anytime you get five of the biggest companies in the world all reporting in the same week, there's going to be a lot to cover. But the truth of the matter is, despite a lot of money being made by these companies, you didn't necessarily have the greatest reaction to those earnings. Yeah. Now, some of it might have to do with, you got the Qs at highs, you got the SPY that were coming off highs, I shouldn't say at highs.
Yep.
So for names like Apple, for names like, Amazon was up, but for names like Apple, for names like Microsoft, for the most part, it was always going to be difficult for them to blow out that top. That said, it's not all doom and gloom. Why is it not all doom and gloom, Andrew?
Well, as far as moving forward, we do have a positive seasonal expectation. So into October, throughout the end of the year, you do expect positive seasonals. Now, this means different things in different markets. We don't expect just, the entire market rallies into November and December. It could mean that we have to be more intelligent traders and find where those rotations are actually going and where that positive seasonal actually affects the most. So far, if you're looking at it, it seems a lot of the names like, biotech, software, these type of names are really starting to benefit off the low into this October. And even in my own trading plan, I've been somewhat avoiding SPY as in general, because since really the end of September, we haven't really moved all that much. It's been, we are already back at the September, basically the close of September's kind of price level here. So we've been in this range for so long, and it's very difficult to trade. It's frustrating, but where I found success in directional moves is playing those names like softwares into next week, which I'm going to be excited about because they do have earnings, a lot of those names. So that's what I'm going to be looking at for next week long.
Yeah, we got a bunch reporting next week here. and it'll be a lot of fun. And we'll get to those. Actually, I was going to ask Dara which one she's the most excited about, but I actually have a different question for Dara.
Yes.
And that one has to do with your girl, as you like to affectionately refer to her, Eli Lilly. Because if we're talking about earnings reactions, a certain someone to the right of me happens to like XBI and biotech.
Yeah.
Lilly did not necessarily have a great day today, but when you look back at Eli Lilly, and I'm zooming out of the chart because I own it and it looks good. It's always fun looking at a chart of stock that you own and it's up like this. I also own Rivian, so there's that too. But when you look at the trend like this, the deep dips on this have been absolutely fantastic. So did you get to trade your girl Lilly at all?
I did on earnings, and I will put up my chart actually so you can see her. I took this photo right after I left the trade, so it doesn't give you all the price action, but basically, I loved that this hold here, this VWAP hold is 823. Now, if you go back to earnings day one in their last report, August 6th or 7th, that was the low of the day that day. So I love this level. I love that it was in confluence with VWAP. Shout out to Obi. I ended up taking it here for $2, got in 828, got out 830. The initial plan, I thought there'd be a little bit quicker movement. I was going to add at 830, then get everything out at 832. We got to like mid 831s, and then things didn't quite work out, so I had to get up. Took my $2 scalp, but that was Lilly. I was watching today for an 823 breakdown because we've been holding that level really well. We didn't quite get it, so I didn't quite trade it, but also very happy to announce that October was my first green month. So yeah, good times all around. Just thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on my girl Lilly.
That's huge. Why didn't you? I didn't know that. That's
I really have a lot of opportunities to mention it, I guess.
You don't have a lot of opportunities. How about every 5 minutes for the entirety of the day?
I like to focus on the news. You know what I mean? I like to keep it balanced. But
and the humility as well. That's okay. First of all,
she waited till the end of the day when there's the least amount of people. I mean, this is crazy.
Look, to me, and Andrew, I know you know this. For anyone if you've been in the trading game in any respect, I don't care how long your journey has been, trust me, when you have that first hump, like here, sometimes they call it like when you graduate on a prop floor, when you go from sort of trading, you trade in the simulator, but you actually have to earn a certain amount of money before you can actually earn money on your commission. So even though you're trading live, you're not even getting paid out if you make money until you graduate. So graduation is a big deal. Your first positive month is a big deal. Yep. A lot of times you might give yourself a milestone in a month or something like that. Those are all really big. So I want to make sure you enjoy this one, Nadera. Like, I
am really proud. I'm excited to keep growing from it. Thank you so much for the support and for everybody in the chat. I love this community and I love being here every day.
That's what we're all here for, everybody. We're just trying to get a little bit better. I'm going to segue in a second. I want to segue this to XBI because that's where I was going with this, Andrew. Okay. But I wanted to mention, look, Eli Lilly is an example as well of something that we have to look for with all of these names that have had the earnings moves this week, right? So giving it some time to calm down. Like Lilly, you had the dip. You haven't really confirmed support level yet. So yeah, there was a bounce, so you can look at something like 770, like I can pull up a daily chart and I can show you that low, look at the wick bottom, assume that support. I don't know. There's been no consolidation level on Eli Lilly. You want to look at something like a Microsoft. Microsoft, again, earnings, pull back. You haven't really confirmed a really good support level. There hasn't been enough time for that yet. So I think you want to be patient. However, I think with XBI, when you're looking at the ETFs, and I'm going to pull up 15-minute on XBI, which I have a button for like flat top, for flat bottom breaks.
Yep.
I don't really have a button for, which is weird that we don't have a button for breakouts.
Right.
Like what kind of, how does a trading show, Fabian, not have a button for breakouts?
Fabian.
I'm throwing him under the bus. No, but this is absolutely setting up for a local breakout here, probably 99.5 into 100, and then 100 into oblivion. So obviously it's the end of the week. I know you're an options trader. So how would you, because as a day trader, this is easy. Like I can come in on Monday and just punch long if it breaks 100. But how are you approaching XBI specifically next week?
So to really play it safe, what I'm going to position in, I didn't actually swing this one into the close, even with such a strong close on the stock. But what I'm really looking forward to is a gap up. Gap ups are really important events in the market. it doesn't matter if you go into a resistance level intraday, that is not going to change the sentiment like a gap up over or into that resistance level is. It often creates a lot more pressure. It creates a lot more environment for buying for them to flip sides and change sentiment. So what I'm actually going to be doing is looking for those gap ups. Again, biotech, XBI, although it doesn't have the best holdings as far as a company holding of an ETF, I mean, you have GILD, that's been the rock star there. But as a whole, it's not an amazing sector to play in general long term. But we haven't broken the 2021 highs on XBI. And given that we have a context of a Fed cutting rates, who are the companies that benefit a lot from these rate environments later on in the cycles? It's going to be these biotechs who are heavily leveraged, who are heavily reliant on financing and cheap money to get the job done in their research and et cetera. So, yep, I'm still bullish on biotechs for sure.
And as you say that, we have a super chat in here.
Okay.
And it is from Big Kyle Burdett. Thank you for the super chat. And we're all throwing the ones in here, by the way. I'm going to throw that in there. Make sure you throw the ones in, and you got to be a subscriber to be in the chat. So show Andrew some love. Yep. It's all about Raider this week. Get the report, watch the videos. Raider next year for Halloween. We can master and what is it? We can be master and blaster from Mad Max. So I feel like, okay, Kyle, you realize we have a tradition on this. We have a tradition on this show. Like if you say you're going to do something, like everybody, it's like put up or shut up. Like Obi with the Vegemite. Yep. I painted my face before.
I will do that for the next goal.
You'll do Ice Spice?
No, I'll do Spice.
Oh, Spice.
I will eat Spice. Although, fun fact, Ice Spice and I have the same birthday to the year, which is crazy. But I will eat Spice if people need on camera. And that is a huge thing for me because that is not something I do. So that's what, you know what I mean? You got to get these goals going here for the Super Chats. You're right. We're people of our words.
No Packy chip for you. That was the silliest thing that we ever did live.
I can watch, you know.
We took it a little bit too far, and you pay the price for it. But Andrew, master and blaster. If Kyle, look, next year, if Kyle actually does this, I feel like you got to go out and get this costume.
I mean, let me look this up. Hold on.
Well, yeah, because the original Mad Max.
Okay.
That's a little bit older. We can't share your screen. I'm sitting there looking at you.
Who's gonna sit on my back?
Let me see if I can find it very quickly here because I just realized we can't share.
I mean, is Sean gonna be the guy and then I'm gonna be the little guy on his shoulders? Like, is that what we're doing?
Oh, here's one. Look at this. I just found a pin on it, whatever.
Oh, Kyle Burdett saying that you can sit on his shoulders.
You can sit on his shoulders?
Okay.
Well, Kyle, you are big Kyle Burdett. I don't know if we want to work it that way, but why not?
Okay. This is a strange turn of events on this.
It's just gotten, we try to have fun around here, Andrew. That's what it's all about every single time. But it sounds like a bit of a challenge. Challenge maybe accepted. The ones are in the chat regardless. So, like, again, we always like to have a little bit of fun here. And a reminder to everybody, because I know we're 10 minutes in here, make sure you stick around for the end, next 20 minutes, because the Raider himself, Andrew Raider, is going to be giving away 500 Canadian
money,
to one lucky guest.
I am giving $500 away to one of you all. So we'll give the context after the guest. So once the guest on, who's coming on?
Well, we're supposed to have Chris on, and so I want to make sure I haven't seen him pop in. I haven't seen him pop in, so I don't know if we're for sure going to have him, but he did confirm with me on Wednesday that we're going to be able to have him on Friday, but we'll see if we do. If we don't, well, I just thought of something. Okay, you're giving away 500.
All right.
Now, maybe 500 is not the right number, but it doesn't matter because now you, no, I'm talking for this challenge.
Oh, okay.
If you had 500 or 10,000 or whatever the number might have to be,
all right,
and you are forced to buy one stock Monday morning at the open, but you have to hold it for a year.
A whole year?
For a whole year. Oh, Obi, stop. Obi
the troll.
Obi just said Nicola, and don't give him a mic. He wants
the most.
He wants the most shares, so he would buy Nicola, which is ridiculous. There's a microphone.
Obi, what about FFP?
Grab the microphone, Obi. There.
I thought you said grab the Vegemite. Sorry, I did grab the Vegemite, but no, I'm saying I want all the shares. I want a lot of shares. So I think that's probably the best bang for my buck. It might go to zero, but I'll get the most shares. That's all I'm saying.
First of all, that is 100%. Understand here, we're having a fun question, which I was actually going to answer semi-seriously. I still am going to. But nobody here is endorsing owning Nikola shares at all.
Including Obi.
Clearly, we're just having a little bit of fun here. I know who my pick is, but if you guys want to have a second to think about it.
$1,000?
Okay, look, I said 500 obviously because Andrew's giving it away. But remember, you can buy fractional shares. Like there's a lot you could do with it. So let's just say the amount doesn't matter. It can be 10,000 you need. But if you had to invest it on Monday and hold it for a year, you can't trade out of this, and you can't hold it forever. You're gonna get a 1-year shot at this.
I think, honestly, if it was a year, that actually changes my answer because shorter term, I'd be something else, but long term, I think I would actually do IWM. I think small caps are one of the things that have been beaten down over the last several years, and I think that this is the time, if we are talking about investments, this month, even into September and August, I was talking a lot about crypto as well. Bitcoin making that high. I think crypto and IWM. So IWM, I'd pick up a share of that. So
I'm not gonna. So we were talking about biotechs and and so mine is actually Viking, and the reason so now the reason
I was just gonna say Viking.
Okay, so the reason why it's VKTX, A, they got a 13% short flow. B, they just had positive news with their trial for an oral. But the other side of it is that they don't actually have enough cash to go into production here.
Right.
And so there's always been long-standing rumors that either they can continue to raise or somebody big comes in to buy them so they can go into production. And because Pfizer has just failed, well, I shouldn't say failed, they haven't had any success where Viking has, there's some logical reasons why Viking, I think, is going to make this play.
I think that's a smart thesis,
Now, candidly, okay, so caveat, I did buy Viking shares this week. I have a sticky note on it, and I said I was going to. But that's the reason behind it. That's why I said like 1 year, because if they're going to make a deal, it's probably going to happen within the next year. You get that premium, you'd sell it. Obviously, if a deal happened before, you would just tender the shares. But my pick was going to be Viking. So IWM, I like that as well.
And I think that's an easy pick. I mean, you feel almost comfortable saying it. But, you say something like Apple, you're like, it's just, like it really does have that aftertaste that you don't like. So that's something definitely, biotech, IWM.
And it's funny because I honestly, my first reaction was IWM, then you said IWM, and I was like, and then I was thinking, what would be a what's our stocks? I see a lot of stocks every day. What are stocks that are in a nice trend that I would be like, makes sense? And then I thought Viking, and the second after I thought Viking, you said Viking, and I was like, because I follow the Glips. I follow the Glips. I like my Lily. I like my Novo. I've day traded Viking. So I was going to say Viking. Then you said Viking. I don't know. But another answer I would give, I would pull Michael Nosby because I have a Monday I have to buy it, right? So I'd pull Michael Noss. I'd go through 100 charts. Then I'd give you an answer. But honestly, I also like Viking for some of the same reasons you said. They're doing a really unique job in a kind of space that's becoming increasingly crowded, and they honestly managed to hold up really well. Like they don't really do the pump and dump that you see in some of these names. Also, we have 2 super chats. The first one here is from Rohit Sharma, $2 super chat asking you if we're still good with C. Schwab and Boeing. Then there's a second, but we'll get to that in a second. I just want to read them out. Then we have one from Hey Davis asking you if we can hire Andrew Rader to be on the show whole time, please, maybe as a Christmas present. Thank you guys very much, Rohit Sharma and Hey Davis, for those super chats. And I will leave it to these gentlemen.
So before we get to Boeing, so I'll let you get prepared to answer that question for Schwab and Boeing. I will just say keep applying the pressure, everybody. I think it's absolutely fantastic. We can't say enough of, obviously you can tell like we're impressed with Andrew. We love Andrew, and he's been a great friend of the show here. So we're going to continue to have a great relationship. There's no questions asked. Keep piling the pressure on, because the truth of the matter is, at Trader TV Live, all we're ever trying to do is get better every single day. And we don't necessarily care what form that takes.
Right, exactly.
And that's one of the reasons why the midday, we've done lots of experimenting. And why we actually started out doing like half a day, and then we're like, everyone wanted us to do the full day. So we never know where we're going. I think obviously, Andrew, I think you've done a fantastic job, and no questions asked. You brought a lot to this show, and I want to thank you for that. So keep the pressure on. Brendan has already left, so he doesn't get to hear all of this, but that's fine. He'll have to watch it and listen to it. You've been a fantastic guest, and now we can talk some Boeing, because I know that is starting to go.
So as far as the Charles Schwab, that was a shorter term play that I took last week. I actually got out of that one at a small loss. But that was, again, we are macro big banks or macro long banks. We believe into the end of the, at least I do, into the end of the year, I think banks will get a nice bid. But the seasonal weakness, it's lingering around, it's whatever. But as far as Boeing, I actually did position into that one for 11.08 calls. I'm still in this one. I took a stab at it last week and actually this week as well. But that was a small loss on that one. Again, you guys know my winners today was T-Low, Enphase, those kind of names. But this one here, it was strong at close. It kind of held the highs there. It didn't really sell off below the gap up. So I really feel comfortable holding this one. If there's some news over the weekend, something like that, that might be a catalyst to get out. But I am still long this one. I think Boeing, in the next, it's so beaten down. It's all these strikes, all this negative news. It's only a matter of time before one kind of move, one kind of gap up gets this thing going and has the shorts screaming to buy back their shares. So that's kind of where I'm at with Boeing. But again, nothing long term. Everything is short term here. In this market especially, we are in the most volatile month of the year. If you really try to take out a longer directional trade, you're going to get burnt. And so that's really where I'm at with this. Wait for a gap up if you want to trade it intraday, things like that. It really pays dividends being more patient in this market.
And remember, I mean, as far as Boeing goes, like they have a tentative deal. Like this is, they just have, look, it seems very promising. And I know, obviously, they've had a couple of opportunities here to swing at it and get a deal done. No, but by all accounts, it does seem like they might get this one done. And then, next week would give you that bit of a gap up. And, one of the other things that I always like to think about, and you've talked about this when it comes to rotation. Now, on the bigger level, you always have money rotating from one place to another.
Right.
Now, I'd like to think on a smaller level, maybe at smaller firms, when you are taking profit out of some of the big tech names, in a general sense, it's like what is making a bottom? What is a stock that we do feel comfortable holding? Boeing's not going, it's not dying.
No.
There's only two options here. You have an oligopoly here in the space, right? And if they get this out of the way, finally you'll have some positive wins. You're after earnings. You'd be breaking out post earnings. There's a lot going well with this. I can promise you this. If this gets above the 50-period moving average, there are going to be day trade longs on hopefully a daily basis. Who knows how it will continue. But I'm looking at that 50-period. The second you break this consolidation higher, suddenly I'm just looking for long trades on Boeing, which is a change for the day trader, which generally you've been shorting pops, and that's worked. I think that can change as long as they get this deal done.
Yeah, and one thing for sure, this is kind of where you kind of look at other hints in the market. You look at airlines. Airlines have been one of the biggest leaders recently. UAL is one of the tickers I look at. And you ask yourself, if the market is pumping airlines, do they believe that Boeing would shut down? No. They're actually believing that there will be some continuation and strength in airlines for the near future. Remember that markets are always investing for the future. What they're investing now could be 3 to 4 months ahead of time what they're pricing in. So right now they're saying, hey, we love airlines. We love their model. We think they're beaten down. If they were thinking, oh, airlines aren't going to be able to get any more airplanes, they wouldn't be buying it up like that they are now. So that's just something to consider. I think it's another thesis to support why Boeing is kind of more confident than a lot of people are painting it as to be.
Yeah, you can't have the Jets go, the Jets ETF is, let me just look, the August bottom was 16.5, so call it $7 to the upside, maybe a little bit less than that, so 40% move in Jets, and you're forming a bottom in Boeing. I mean, we can all do that simple math in our heads if Boeing was to start to catch up from here.
Right, yeah.
Now you're talking about Boeing probably in the 225 range or something like that, and even then it would still be a fraction of the move. But you know what? We got another super chat here, and I'm loving this one. There's a few more through. We have a few, but there's one in particular, Adara, from Adrian here. So thank you very much, Adrian. Congratulations to Adara. You are awesome. P.S. Nice earrings. So they're loving the earrings. We're loving the fact that you just had your first positive month.
Thank you.
I am blown away, and I can't believe you didn't tell anybody. You should have been shouting it from the rafters as far as I'm concerned. So once again,
thank you so much.
Give you the bang.
Thank you.
You know how hard it is to trade from that desk?
It is hard, yeah. Yeah, I guess you got. I mean, what I like to do too. I'm very much like an order book trader. So what I'll do is I'll have the order book set up on all my screens. So in between looking at news, I'm like, what's the order book doing? Are we looking bullish? Are we looking bearish? I've also just like I already love trading spread. I have basically had my entire strategy set up. So now I'm basically only trading spready stocks. So I know what I'm looking for in those. If I see what I'm looking for, I'll take a trade. And if I don't, I won't. Like I loved Lulu and Meta today. I had ideas on both. They didn't set up for me, so I didn't take them. And it's just a really different way to trade.
Okay, I have to mention this comment. This made me laugh over here. PHUA said, "You nailed it, Andrew. Airline industry cannot use boats." Dude, it's true. That comment has me weak. That was funny, man. Thanks for typing that. That was funny.
Factually correct.
They can't use boats, bro.
The chat is undefeated today. I have to give it up. The chat's been undefeated. We're having a fun one. I think I had. What was I going to say? No, to the point of trading on the desk. The only tidbit I want to add is, back when we were a smaller team, and thank goodness we were a little bit of a bigger team. When Brendan was full-time on the desk, I would fill in for Brendan on the desk, doing the news desk and all that stuff, and like watch this all like. And then I would also be trying to trade from here while doing the news. And it was like the second or third time I did it. I remember I ended up with like my single worst trading day since we had done the show.
Oh my gosh.
And like after that moment, I was like, I can't do what he does and actually try and trade.
Yeah, no.
I'm like, nope, I can't do it. So the fact that you actually had a positive month doing that, I think is all the more impressive.
Thank you.
And I also want to get back to a great shot, Fabian.
That was a cool shot.
Go back to that for a second.
We have some more super chats here too.
We do. I was going to get to those, but then we had this fantastic shot that Fabian had in there. Oh, that light is just glaring. I can't
There's
even.
a million. You'll never know.
Where? No. No, the one, the great shot, Fabian. There it is. Where is that?
Where?
No.
In between the seats. There you go. You're looking right at it.
There it is. Nope. There it is. No. What? Okay, I have no idea.
Is this what it feels like to be stalked? Like,
it's just what?
Yes. Well, you're here, yes.
No, we're just having fun. And we had another super chat from Hey Davis. And more pressure being applied by Mr. Hey Davis. Thank you very much, sir. Please, Andrew, we need you. We have a great team.
I will say this, guys, whether I get paid by them or not, whether I'm working with them every day or not, we're friends. I'm going to be here. We're going to talk stocks. We're going to talk markets. And I will say there might be some secrets brewing under the table. You never know, okay? We can't announce anything until things get crazy. But there are some projects in the work, pretty cool stuff. Partnering with, of course, coming out here and them being nice enough to even let me on here. That's not something they do every time, especially a 20-year-old. 20-year-olds don't get the first pass seat here. So whether I've earned it or not, they're extremely generous in doing this, and there will be more of me certainly in any form of whether it's a Trader Talk or a FaceTime Zoom for in the bathroom or something, something stupid like that.
Maybe not that.
Okay, maybe.
But
not
hold
that.
on, don't even start with the 20 thing. Age is just a number. And you know what? You reminded me of something. We didn't get a chance to say this. You remind me of somebody, and so back in the day, like I'm gonna date myself, but when Sean and I opened our own trading floor, head office, this floor was still here. The head office floor was still here in Toronto, and we didn't have a chance. There was a certain trader straight out of high school, and I'm not gonna name his name. It's not my place to do so, but he's straight out of high school, and I remember when he was like 19. When he turned 19. Within the first year of trading, he went from a graduated trader straight out of high school to the #1 trader at the head office floor. And my only experience meeting him, it's like we don't get to talk every single day. My experience meeting him would be meeting up with the other traders at the bar and meeting up with the other floor. So I would just get little tidbits of meeting him. And they used to call him the Boy Wonder. And the first thing that stood out is the second you talked to him, you weren't talking to some 19-year-old kid or then a 20-year-old kid.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with that. You were just talking to somebody who had immersed themselves in the market and had a passion for what he did and took learning seriously. Yeah. And that's
so
all.
valuable.
That's what I got. That's what I get out of you. And whether you're 45 years old or 75 years old or 20 years old or 12 years old or whatever.
Exactly.
If you have a passion for it and you just want to learn, then this is the game for you.
Absolutely, yeah. That's it. And I've dedicated a lot of my early years, if you guys kind of know the lore, my backstory, I'm not going to explain it all here, but I kind of sacrificed a lot of what I did in my early age. I've never drank alcohol. I've never smoked. I've never gone to a party. I never did any of that because I was so dedicated to things like this with my mentors and them being, nice enough like these guys to offer me a shot with them under their wings.
That's awesome.
Earned, my friend, earned. That's what, as far as I'm concerned, it's definitely been earned. And I love that. I love the dedication, man. That level of discipline is
But
important.
lots of Pokemon cards, so that might be my
Different
only addiction.
vices.
My daughter loves Pokemon cards.
Well, we got to trade then.
Yeah.
Whip out the binder. Come on, like.
Well, I mean, it's
okay.
it's at home. Like I don't carry it with. No, she does
Maybe
love
next
Pokemon.
time. I'll maybe fly out my Pokemon card collection next time. Take some at home. I don't know.
Oh, by the way, my daughter absolutely loved Halloween yesterday. She loved the Darius costume because she's into Bratz. She thought the pirate was super cool. I mean, she's a nerd. No matter what I wore, she'd think it's funny.
That was a really good costume, the pirate
That
too.
pirate
The level of
costume
detail.
was absolutely out of control.
I went to it was first time shopping for Halloween costumes, so. Like I've done Halloween costumes, but they were always like hand-me-downs or like, you know what I mean? Yeah, so.
Nice.
Or like the ghost of like a bed sheet over you, like it wasn't,
Everybody's done that.
Homemade costumes are
Everybody's done
dope
that.
and they're underrated.
I got an old school. I got to find the picture, but like I don't know what my dad did with it. But I did like a homemade Inspector Gadget when I think it was in kindergarten, so maybe 5 or 6 years old. Fabian did it as well. And then full circle, my older brother, when they did the remake of Inspector Gadget, was one of the animators on Inspector Gadget. So it became all full circle. That is I'm so jealous of him that he got.
That's so cool.
My brother got to help make a show reboot that we grew up on. And it's hard enough being an artist. I'll tell you right now. Like we're in a fun business.
Yeah.
But like artists, that's a different ball game, man. Especially animators who do not get paid well enough. I'll tell you this right now. The major studios do not pay the animators for movies what they should. And it's the same thing with TV, but they do it because they have a passion for it. They love the art.
100%.
Now I want to bring it back to the market because I had some other thoughts that I wanted to get in here. And there's one in particular. We alluded to it that I completely got off track. We have all these great super chats.
We had one more super chat.
We did?
Yeah, sorry, really quickly.
Let's do the super chat first. What time is it? How is it 4:30? Oh my goodness.
Time flies.
So let's get to this super. I didn't realize it was already 4:30, everybody.
Yeah.
So let's get to this super chat because everyone has been waiting for the promise here. So
All right.
Yeah, I just really want to quickly thank Adrian. Thank you so much for the €5 super chat saying congratulations, Adara. Thank you so much. I love this community, and I'm so happy to be able to share that with everybody here. And I mean, everyone that you see, everyone you don't see on the floor, everybody in this chat, this community is awesome, and I'm really grateful. And now we're going to talk here about this thing.
Super chat. Well, it's not going to be a super chat. It's going to be me. Now, here's the giveaway rules, okay? Everyone in chat, for me to send you money, you have to have PayPal, okay? If you do not have PayPal, I'm sorry, but the only one that links to my bank back home without them calling me saying there's a scam going on is PayPal, okay, since I'm out of country. So you have to have PayPal. I'm sorry if you don't, but you have to have PayPal. Don't waste my time, please. Don't say me, and then you don't have PayPal. Guess what? It's not going to happen. I'm not going to give you $500. So here are the rules to chat. Number 1, you have to be subscribed to you have to be subscribed to Trader TV. Maybe me, but Trader TV most importantly, okay? You have to provide proof that you're subscribed to them. Not necessarily paying for a membership, but just subscribe to them, and you also have to have PayPal. Now, the second one, we are going to do a 10-second countdown, okay? And I want everyone in chat to spam Neil is handsome, or just Neil is awesome, okay? One of those two. That's what we did last time. But we're going to keep doing it because obviously this show is about,
Thank you, sir.
The amazing Mr. Neil. So we're going to do, over the next 10 seconds, okay, I want you guys to spam the chat, okay? And I'm going to count real slow because I know there's delay. So we're going to go, I'm going to pick a random person. Neil's going to have the chat up. I'm going to just randomly point, and he's going to kind of look at the name I point at, all right? So here we go. 10, you guys got to keep spamming, okay? 9, all right? Here we go. Neil is awesome. Let's go. 8.
It's out of control.
Okay, we're down to 8. We're going to 7. Oh no, we're going to 6. We're going to 5. If you're not spamming,
keep going,
do you want money?
Keep going.
4.
Keep going.
We're going to 3. We're going to 2. And the last second, I'm making my finger go to the screen. Woo! Boom!
There it is. So it was right here. It is Moon AI.
Moon AI.
AI.
All right, my friend, I want you to DM me on Twitter, show proof that you are the owner of that account, screenshot it, something like that on your homepage of YouTube, And then make sure you have PayPal. DM me on Twitter at RaiderTrader101. It is down there. I have a blue check mark. Please do not DM the bots asking for $500 because believe me, they'll give it to you. Okay?
Probably not.
They'll give you more. I'm kidding, guys. Please don't get scammed. But yeah, anyway, it's been a blast being on Trader TV this week, guys. I know it's extra late, but it's been an absolute blessing. These guys have treated me, and gals, they've treated me like absolute family. I plan to do something like this in the future if they allow it. And of course, you guys will see me virtually on the show once in a while. So we'll be checking in with that and whatnot.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Adara.
I gotta tell you, the pleasure is it's been all ours. There's no questions asked, and it's not like family. We're part of the Trader TV family, and we hope for bigger and better. And let's just keep on making sure that we grow this and help as many people as we can, because it's all about learning in this game. We're all just trying to get better. And there was another super chat. I wanted to make sure we got to this because Ian Rispetto just came in here and said this one, Neil is Denzel Washington's cousin, which is not factually true, but I will take every single compliment that you want to give me, and I will try not to have it inflate my head.
We are still.
That's a big compliment.
There's still, by the way.
We are still getting. Neil is awesome.
I know.
Is it the backlog is coming in?
The backlog is coming in.
Oh my God.
And there's a poll complete, and it is 91%. First of all, who are the 8% of the people who said no to more Raider Trader? I got words for a few. Fat fingers. Yeah, you clicked the wrong thing. It does happen. 8% of people make fat finger mistakes when they're typing.
I've been in the market, I guess. I don't know.
I guess it happens, but overwhelming support here. I hate to do it. I know we're running on time here, but it's been an absolutely fantastic week. And the truth of the matter is, this community is only as great as it is because we all respect each other, we all love each other, we all want to learn from each other, we all want to get better in our trading, and there is no better example of that than two people sitting next to me, one of whom was gracious enough to come here and spread his knowledge for half the week here, and we hope to see more of that. We are going to see more of that. And then the other example, which was Adara having her first positive month as a trader.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Immediately, that means this is the greatest week we've ever had. That's about as good as it gets. So on that note, because I'm going to leave it on a high note, shout out to everybody on the team. Shout out to Fabian, who's here, to Ramin, who isn't here. She's already taken off. To Adrian, who was always working too hard. To Brennan, who took off. Sean, who was off today. Obi filling in. From Sataya to Joe. Say Wayne's around here. My main man, Sean Cantina, with that day off. Grankles was walking around. And look, to everybody, Sharif as well, big shout out and thanks to the entire team. We try to do this for you, and we hope to have weeks like this every single week. But you know what? We get to do it all again next week. Monday morning, bright and early. Check us out, Trader TV Live. One more super chat.
Neil is Morpheus.
Morpheus. I'll take that one. I'm a nerd, baby. I'll do more. Ooh, that's a Halloween idea.
I was just thinking that'd be so good.
I'm going to file that one away for next year, but for now, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, that would have been sick if we could have done like a Matrix.
Shot.